Before we officially get started, I just want to read a statement. I think we read this at the last statement, so it'll be about the same thing. We welcome the public to attend our meetings and sincerely appreciate your cooperation in being respectful and not disrupting or impeding the business that we will address today. You are allowed to record or photograph this meeting in accordance with the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act. We are also live streaming the meeting on both Facebook and YouTube, and the speakers who have signed up to be broadcast as well. We respectfully ask that everyone in attendance refrain from any conduct that creates or causes any type of disturbance. To ensure a respectful and orderly meeting, all attendees are asked to refrain from creating a disturbance, interference, or disruption of the meeting. Attendees may sit in the public seating area to observe the meeting or may stand in the back of the room. We kindly ask that you be mindful that standing in front of other attendees may obstruct their view of the counselors and any materials on display. Also, walking around the room excessively in any way that draws attention to yourself can disrupt the meeting. In addition, continuing to argue with the council or staff after being instructed to stop disrupting the meeting will be considered further interference with the conduct of the meeting. You guys did great last time, so expecting a good meeting this time. Oh, page 2. Sorry. It is there. Unwelcome physical contact will not be tolerated, including the invasion of attendees' personal space by standing behind a person or recording over their shoulder. This also includes side conversations at a volume loud enough to prevent others from hearing the business being conducted. If the mayor requests attendees to be silent or to take a side conversation to a different room or outside, we appreciate your prompt compliance. Violations of any of these guidelines may result in removal or being trespassed from the meeting period. Thank you for being here and for your continued engagement as the citizens of Claremore. Now we're done. Good. Call to order the Claremore City Council meeting. Please call the roll.
Cotta. Here. Bellman.
Here.
Michael.
Present.
Callender.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Ruckerhoff.
Here.
Colby.
Here.
McSpadden.
Here.
Irwin. Here.
Stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, an invocation by Pastor Scott Mitchell with Red Bud Church. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, we look to you for guidance and favor on this occasion, thanking you for the opportunity that we have for freedom in this land. Would you look upon and be gracious to the city of Claremore? We pray for our leaders. Where they are in the right, grant them courage and true strength. Where they are in error, grant them repentance and humility. Grant them to govern as well as possible. We pray for all constituents. Would you grant us peace, harmony, prosperity in this city, and a common vision for good. In all things, Father, we ask that you would administer justice, uphold integrity and truth, restrain wickedness, and protect true religion and virtue. Through Jesus Christ our Lord we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody to speak of the call to the public?
No, they're all for the public hearing.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Michael.
Yes.
Bellman.
Yes.
Cotta.
Yes.
Callender.
Yes.
Ruckerhoff.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes.
Long.
Yes. Do we have any items unforeseen?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mayor's report. I just want to thank everybody for being here. I know it's Going to be a good meeting, and I'm glad that we were able to have, this meeting along with the meeting we had 2 weeks ago. And tonight, hopefully, we'll get some resolution one way or the other. Awards and presentations, Mr. Manager.
None, Your Mayor.
Staff reports, Mr. Manager.
None, Mayor.
Current business, do we have a motion to accept the consent items as printed?
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
Holly, did you do the second?
I did both.
Whichever one you would put it on.
Yeah.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Call the question.
Feldman,
Yes.
Colby,
Yes.
Cotto,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Breckerhoff,
Yes.
McSpadden,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
Long.
Yes. Item 2, discussion and possible action on resolution number 2026-4, authorizing the mayor to execute a CDBG release of funds document and all related paperwork as printed. Mr. Night Chief.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. So tonight, yes, I'm bringing the release of funds letter that needs to be signed to the Department of Commerce so we can get our CDBG funds to start our sewer project. I believe Levi's getting pretty close to going out to bid for that, if not already, and we're well ahead of design, so we're getting ready to start sometime in the summer.
Do we know what it's going, how much the cost will be?
The total is going to be about $200,000, $300,000, I believe. So last time we were able to do about 300 linear feet of sewer line replacement in the whole township. We're continuing that project. We're just extending a little further south and we're fixing some spots that kind of are around Cat Creek area. So.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion is second. Any other questions? Call the roll.
McSpadden,
Yes.
Feldman,
Yes.
Cotto,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Breckerhoff,
Yes.
Colby,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
Long.
Yes. Item number 3, discussion and possible action on resolution number 2026-5 as printed. Mr. Night Chief.
Yes, Ms. Mayor, this is for our Federal Rail Administration Rail Crossing Elimination Grant. We finally went through all of the additional review process that the agency put into place, and they have now crafted our agreement, and they uploaded it to us for review and approval. And this is going to be just giving you the authorization for you or your designee to sign the required agreement on grants.gov. I think they use a different internal grants management system, but someone will sign that document for us and we can get started on getting this rail crossing elimination grant.
Can you tell the community what
Sure.
it is?
Yeah, so we applied last year for the Federal Rail Administration Grant Rail Crossing Elimination. And what that does is it allows us to do a study over all of our rail intersections and our at-grade crossings to see if we can come up with viable alternatives for construction either under or over the bridges to connect the community a little bit better. This is a 2-phase grant. The first phase is a planning phase, which we've been awarded, and this will allow us to then develop a construction plan, hopefully. And that will then turn into another grant opportunity for the actual construction phase of whatever project is decided if it's not. So that's kind of what we're going to do. The planning phase is scheduled for 3 years. So this is going to be quite an extensive study, but it's going to be needed. We have congestion problems, as I'm sure everybody's aware of, and as our town increases in capacity and population, traffic only gets worse. So we're looking into all alternatives to make it a little bit easier to get around. You know, when I was here in high school, they had a bond hearing for a rail crossing, and I think the crossing at that time was $30 million, and people thought that was too expensive. And I'm afraid that the cost has only gone up.
40 million.
Since, or 40 million.
So
that's right.
to remind the council, this is a shared match, so it's about a $524,000. We have a $106,000 obligation that's been on the books for a couple of years now since they're doing this, but
Yeah, it's an 80-20.
yeah, this will look at every option available, underpass, overpass, realignment of
Yep.
rail main line, which I can't even imagine what that cost would be, but it will take a while to do those studies based on the existing conditions, and then hopefully set us up to apply for funds in the future to deal with something on the north side of town to get some sort of bypass in
And it
place.
should help also with even something as simple as signaling, right? If we can get the schedules of the train and figure out how to time our signaling to it, it could help alleviate some of the traffic concerns that we have when the trains are actually coming through our towns at predictable times. So this will be a benefit, net benefit.
Mr. Calendar, what was the idea back in the day? Where was the proposed change for 30 million, about 40 million?
It was for an overpass and the
Where at?
citizens.
Blue Star?
It was on Blue Star.
Yeah, it was
Now
gonna go over
now
both railroad tracks.
Yep.
Okay.
No,
That
we
was
took
actually
voted
before
the,
my time. That was well over 30 years
yeah.
ago.
Yeah, that was in 1989 or 1990.
That went to a vote.
I just aged myself, I'm sorry.
That went to a vote of the people,
It did.
actually to decide it, and the citizens that voted it down.
Yep. Well, at the time,
Unfortunately.
Claremore wasn't really
Right, not like it is now.
booming. It was, but
And it was a lot of money.
it was a
back
lot of
then.
money.
That's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of money, that's for
It's a
sure.
lot of money.
Yeah. Any other questions or have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Spelman.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes.
Cottom.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Calendar.
Yes.
Breckerhoff.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Narchi. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on ordinance number 2026-10 as printed. Ms. Maggie Roman Knight.
Good evening, Council Mayor. The ordinance proposal before you has a limited focus to specific parcels within Claremore's industrial park. As you'll notice within your ordinance, the 2012 Claremore City Council members adopted a master project plan related to specific portions of the industrial park. This action occurred following a December 2011 resolution declaring the city's intent to consider the industrial area for investment under Oklahoma's Local Development Act. That plan later included the tax increment district number 1, which you may recall is more locally referenced as the Baker Hughes increment district. For those of you that were serving on the city council in June of 2023, you may recall that that tax increment district number 1 under the master project plan was fulfilled and formally ceased through affirmative council voting action and published in the Claremore Progress. To be clear, the item before you does not reopen, nor amend, or otherwise change the status of that Baker Hughes terminated district. The purpose of the ordinance before you tonight is to avoid overlap or confusion between that 2012 plan area or other separate considerations for those parcels within that master project plan area. This ordinance will remove the identified parcels for consideration from that 2012 master project plan. As you know, those parcels are now associated with a prospective development discussion involving Mustang Tulsa Holdings LLC. This ordinance removes only the identified parcels from the 2012 master plan project area. It does not create a tax increment district. This ordinance does not approve a development agreement. This ordinance does not convey property, nor does it authorize construction or change the status of any previously closed increment districts. This is a parcel-specific action clarifying the affected parcel is no longer included in that prior master plan and may be considered separately for such terms of action before you all as council. We respectfully ask for your approval of this ordinance, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Spelman.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes.
Cottom.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Calendar.
Yes.
Breckerhoff.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, presentation on Project Mustang by Deal Infrastructure.
Mayor and City Council members, thank you for your time and consideration this evening. I'm Lauren Harvey with Beal Infrastructure, and tonight we're asking for final approval on the agreements for the Claremore Data Center project, also known as Project Mustang. This is a multi-phase data center campus, one of the largest private investments, potentially the largest, in Rogers County's history, on that land that is already zoned for this exact use. I am proud to say that we've spent 2 years on this. The agreements we're presenting tonight reflect that work, structured to protect the long-term interest of the greater community and deliver real, lasting benefits. As you know, the project is located in the industrial park, which was created to generate economic development for Claremore. This project will sit alongside other industrial businesses in heavy manufacturing, fabrication, oil and gas, heavy equipment and fleet, and technology. The layout reflects deliberate design decisions, not just code minimums. A minimum 300-foot setback at the property line, but over 800 feet in many other areas. The site entrance is clearly separated from residential areas. Lighting is downcast LED. Stormwater runs through integrated detention ponds. And we've committed to perimeter vegetation using existing trees, plus many new plantings, and leaving Cat Creek untouched and protected. And that also functions as a permanent acoustic and visual buffer. Over 25 years, this project delivers hundreds of millions in direct benefit to Claremore and Rogers County through the agreements being approved today. And here's what these agreements can achieve. $140 million to schools, new buildings, facility upgrades, increased teacher salaries, and student programs in education and sports. At least $25 million to workforce for tech school funding for new facilities, equipment, certifications, and a direct pipeline into this industry and construction. Over $100 million in city services using a conservative estimate of $4 million a year over 25 years from the power agreement. This can fund infrastructure such as roads, traffic, power redundancy, water, sewer, funding police and fire, and disaster recovery and response. And as of today, we've committed $11 million in community investment, which is just the beginning of a relationship to fund parks, playgrounds, community facilities. But this is just the beginning of our partnership, and we look forward to supporting nonprofits, chambers, scholarship programs, and more. This project and the tax incentive agreement have been reviewed and approved by 8 organizations and 8 governing boards. Every single one voted yes unanimously at a public meeting. The approval process for the Local Development Act, which is a state statute program, is sophisticated. It is a very robust public process, and it is designed to ensure these projects benefit all aspects of public needs. It's definitely not indicative of a backdoor deal. I wanted to highlight the major concerns we've been listening to, and I've worked to mitigate either through project design or contractual agreements. 55 dBA for sound at or below the property line. This can be mitigated through acoustic walls, sound attenuation enclosures, vibration mounts, and heavy vegetation are built into the design to ensure this. Sound levels will be less on the west side of the property, where there is significant distance between homes and heavy vegetation. For water, we ultimately decided on an air-cooled facility and put that requirement into the development agreement. The project will use, on average, 15,000 to 20,000 gallons a day, and this is taps and toilets. Very simple. Fuel funds 100% of all water and wastewater infrastructure and pays all connection fees. There's zero cost to ratepayers. Also pretty black and white is the power. We'll wanted to ensure, we've done this through the RESA, that we fund 100% of substation and grid upgrades and nothing passes to residents. Claremore will receive significant new revenue to support improvements to the rest of the system. This was done in close coordination with the city developing this contract. And the environment. Cat Creek will stay untouched, and for stormwater, air, and all other aspects will be managed with federal oversight through the Clean Water and Clean Air Acts, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and Fish and Wildlife. There'll be state permitting through the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality, and local review through TAC and their certificate of occupancy. We fully understand that data centers and large industrial projects can be challenging and sometimes controversial and may not always be the right fit for a community. We've spent the last 2 years diligently thinking through every aspect of this project, the resources it requires, and how those resources are contracted for, how to protect the community, and how to take the benefits of this project and direct them in ways that will meaningfully impact Claremore's infrastructure, Rogers County schools, and workforce and education opportunities. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge that this is not just a Beal effort. This included many other parties, John Cleary, Meggie, city planning, city engineering, local business leaders, all 8 taxing entities, the county. All of these groups have worked incredibly hard to come together to facilitate these agreements where we are today. A lot of back and forth, a lot of understanding what the needs are and the complexities and nuance of the project. And it took 2 years to do that. The agenda items before you are the accumulation of that effort. They are legally binding commitments, carefully negotiated and purpose-built, and we are generally proud of what these agreements represent. We are deeply grateful for your time, for your consideration, and the extraordinary level of involvement this process has generated. Ultimately, we believe this is a tremendous opportunity for the city of Claremore, and we thank you.
Before we go into public hearing, do you want to go over anything?
Yeah, I'll go over the steps.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me okay? Everyone, thank you for being here tonight. We're about to open the public hearing regarding this matter. Unlike the last hearing, this will not be question and answer. This one is your opportunity to express your views to the council prior to the council voting on this. As we do in all of our meetings, each person will be limited to 3 minutes. Please be mindful of the fact that we are live streaming this and there could be families and children watching. Try to keep it respectful and refrain from any obscene language. Because this is not question and answer, you can express your views with the council. The council cannot respond to you. You will hear a timer start when your 3 minutes begins. You will hear that timer beep when your 3 minutes is up. If we ask that you sit down when the timer is up, please sit down without causing any further disruption.
You may mention if there's somebody outside that wants to speak or did sign up to speak, as you all speak, you may, so we comply with the occupancy. So there's nothing that keeps you all from doing that. So please encourage those if they've signed up and they're outside when somebody speaks to yes, Chief.
I can also do one in and out for just the speaking.
Okay, yeah. So thank you, Chief Douglas. We just want to make sure we're trying to get everybody the opportunity that can.
And we won't have a time limit tonight.
Correct.
We're going to
We've
just,
never had one.
right, well, I mean, last time we were
I mean,
talking
there's a
about.
time limit per speaker.
Right.
There's not a time limit on the hearing.
Right.
Okay.
All right, do we have a motion to go into the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Call the roll.
And then you'll ask Jeff.
Spellman,
Yes.
Breckerhoff,
Yes.
Cottom,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Colby,
Yes.
McSpadden,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Save it. Yeah.
Okay, before we do this, Mr. Saban will come and present the project.
There's actually no presentation at this public hearing as well.
Oh.
I can answer any questions you guys have either right now or we can wait until the discussion begins.
I think we should start the hearing and then we can get the questions out of the way. Because we'll probably want to hear what some of their questions are. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, first up is David Bowlby.
So I just wanted to read a little song here that was on my heart when we were going over all the stuff tonight. This is from Psalm 7. O Lord my God, in you I have taken refuge. Save me from all those who pursue me and rescue me, for they will tear me like a lion, dragging me away while there's no one to rescue. O Lord my God, if I have done anything and there is injustice in my hands, if I have done any evil to my friend, or plundered my enemy for no reason, let my enemy pursue my soul and overtake it and trample my life to the ground. But arise, O Lord, in your anger. Rise yourself against the rage of my enemies and stir yourself to me. You've ordered judgment. Let the assembly of the people encompass you. Return on high over it. The Lord is the judge over the peoples. Vindicate me, Lord, according to my righteousness, my integrity that is in me. Please let the evil of the wicked come to the end and establish the righteous. The righteousness of God puts hearts and minds to the test. My shield is God. God is the righteous judge. God shows indignation every day. If one does not repent, he will sharpen his bows and his sword. He prepares deadly weapons for himself and sharpens his arrows. Behold, an evil person, pregnant with injustice, is conceived harm and gives birth to lies. Digs a pit and hollows himself, falls into a hole he has made. His harm will return unto his own head. I give thanks to the Lord according to his righteousness and sing praise in the name of the Lord Most High. with that, I just want to remind everybody that we get more with honey than we do vinegar. The sweetness of words, just like the Bible says, need to be flowing with life-giving truths. In love, speak in love. Speak in desire for what's best for you, the community, for everybody. And I trust all of you will continue to pray that the Lord helps you make the wisest decisions possible. God bless.
Next up is James Giles.
Is that with an I or a Y?
It's G.I.
G.O. Giles.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Since last year, since you first had the first Claremore Gay Pride event with the public nudity that I personally witnessed and chronicled and recorded, with the violence that was perpetrated and the thefts and the vandalism that was caused, we sent information to all of you via email. Now you're going to have the Sunny Days Mural Fest. While the festival previously aimed to integrate federal funding, it faced a high-profile financial hurdle when its $20,000 National Endowment for the Arts NEA grant was suddenly canceled. Originally approved for the event, the federal funds were revoked just weeks before the festival. The 2026 festival for the event in Claremore, Oklahoma, the city of Claremore stepped in citizens' tax dollars as the premier Surface of the Sun sponsor with a $90,000 investment to drive downtown tourism and small business growth. Primary municipal requirements, financial commitment to bring the festival to a specific location. Host communities must guarantee an $80,000 to $100,000 funding base to support direct artist stipends. This represents about 1/3 of the total festival footprint. Logistical support. Municipalities must provide a designated local site liaison, a fundraising chair, and assistance securing legal building owner permissions for the targeted walls. The city must also handle public permitting, street barricading, event security, and trash management. Concentrated mural sites. Proposed walls must be located within a comfortable walking distance of one another to establish a highly explorable, dense mural district. Lodging and base camp. The city must propose viable housing options for arriving artists, staff, and volunteers alongside a centralized space to serve as festival headquarters. Now the Project Mustang Data Center by Beal Infrastructure at the Claremore Industrial Park, project scale, approximately 270 acres of land. Plans call for up to 3 data centers built in phases, with only 50 permanent jobs per data center built. Initial additional.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next up is Dean Sharp.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members and Mr. City Manager. I'm here tonight to share some thoughts. I hope people can hear me. I get tired of sitting in the back. I've got a hearing problem sometimes and I can't hear. I'm concerned. I was presented with some results of the Open Request Act and some emails. I came across things that seemed to be miscommunications or untruths that were spoken or written, and it made me ask several questions. I noticed that Beal Construction pushed in one email for decisions to be made quickly without citizens knowing what was going on, and city attorneys, or not attorneys, but city management complied, saying, yes, we'll do that. My question is why, and whose payroll is who on here? Somebody spoke last time and accused city management of telling untruths, It wasn't me because I didn't speak. But it was answered by someone who said, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'd like to see people address that by saying I'm not unlawful rather than illegal, because legal is not a good word to be used in a representative republic where we have people reigned and ruled over by the Constitution. Things that I've noticed that have been said and written about. Electric rates will not be going up in cost. I think it's a word game because there will be fuel surcharges. I have never been able to go and pay my electric bill and say I'm not paying my surcharge, I'll just pay the electric bill. It won't happen. I have friends that have a data center just like this that's gone in. Their electric bill went from $200 to $600 the first month. Now they're having an additional thing added to that, a pumping house or a fuel storage facility, and they're going up another $250. That's nearly $1,000. For us to say it's not going up does not do anything but fuel the anticipation and the fear of the people who are the government here. You folks are the people that represent the government. This is the government here, and it should be. We've been told that no other facilities will be built, and yet there's a gas plant being planned. We've been told that there's no impact to the environment, and yet it puts a question mark behind everything that's said because of all the windmills, the electric farms that are put in, the facilities to generate electricity. It does great damage. This city needs money. I understand that. But I think what the city needs more than money right now is a great big load of integrity. It needs to be honest with its people, and it needs to straighten up a time.
Thank you, Dean.
Sir. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. See you at home.
Next up is Tony Sullivan.
Good evening. To let you understand where I come from, I'm a former contractor, now I work in the medical field. I worked in contracting for over 30 years. And a lot of these things I've heard the past couple of months, I wanted to come forward and talk to you about. You know, costs going up, water usage. Yes, at first, there's a little bit of water usage. But your fears should not steer you away from something that's good for you. Okay? We use this system, or the cloud system, every day. It protects your information from the web, people stealing your information. It does a lot of good things. IA is something new. I'm still on the fence with that yet, because I still haven't learned enough. But I'm here to speak on behalf of this project. Because if you really dig down from a contractor's point, and I did a lot of municipal stuff over in Missouri, this is a good thing, whether you think so or not. It's not going to take your money away. It's not going to take your water away. You're going to go broke with water. It's going to be a help. That's all I've got to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Next up is Christabel Thomas.
Okay, proceed.
You ready?
Yeah. So I'm an employee at Claremore Public Schools, and I work part-time, but I see those teens. I work at the high school. I see those teens a lot every day, and they're so bright, and they have such amazing futures ahead of them. We don't know the long-term effects of these data centers. They haven't been around long enough, but some of the newer studies seem to be showing that it causes air and water pollution. I think that maybe our council should take a step back and take time. I think it would be better if we waited a few years, a decade, to see what the long-term effects of this pollution could be on these children. Because I don't want them growing up and getting cancer from the data center. So if you would just consider that maybe we should wait a bit before putting in this new technology. Thank you.
Next up is Susan O'Neill.
I've been trying to process how to approach this, and I'm doing so through some of the main tenets of Quaker belief: simplicity, peace, integrity, community, equity, and stewardship. The Green Country Friends, or Quakers as they are well known, would like to voice their opposal to this data center and all forms of coercive exploitation of our resources. Equity and community. The city did not obtain a meeting space so that all interested were able to come inside and listen to the presentations, either this meeting or the last. I do appreciate greatly, though, that very great effort was made so that everyone who wanted to speak were able to put their name down and come and speak. So I do appreciate that greatly. Environmental concerns. Concern about the gas turbines that are being located at the industrial park. Are those being done so for Beale? Beale says that Cat Creek will be untouched. The creek will have the added runoff from the roofs and the asphalt that they are adding to the property. For now, and also any continued development that they do on that property, that will affect the creek. There's no way that that can't affect the creek. And there's the talk about how every time they address that, they say the industrial park. That top 130 acres are not, unless you guys have filed forms that did not show up in the filings on those properties, those are not currently part of the industrial park. They still belong to John D. Fleeger, because I followed the line going back to his father and through the trust. Issues with integrity. With the city, in the first batch of records I received in an open records release, and reading what I was sent and what was said during the first large public meeting, there's a major discrepancy, and I've turned that over to the FBI. John Ferry, I have a tape, and I did copy that part of the tape in which you said that there was no release of the public's utility records. I'm the person you released the public utility records to. You released at least 3 or 4 months of the public's utility records. There's over, I think it's 13,000 utility members on the records. I first tried releasing it, sending the information to the AG's office. When I contacted the AG's office a month later, they're like, oh, we've had so many claims against that city, we just have them in a pile. We haven't gotten into it yet. I contacted my chief about it because the Cherokee Nation has so many members in Claremore. And it's one of those things, because I know that when information is leaked, that the first thing they need to do is to contact the people whose information is leaked. So that has been turned over.
Next up is Debbie, is it Casita? Cassida. Thank you.
I know, I'm back again. Once again, I'm going to tell you that you build a STEM center in my backyard, you are going to cause me and the other 70 and 80-year-old people and the 3-year-olds and the 2-year-olds and the 6-year-old that play out in the grass behind phase 1 in our yards. You're going to destroy our property values. The chaplain prayed for peace and prosperity. I will have no peace. I certainly won't have prosperity. The minute that heavy equipment moves in and it starts running 14, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, we will have no peace. Those babies won't be able to go to sleep because it'll run until 11 o'clock or so. The dirt, the dust, not to mention the mice, the snakes, everything else that's gonna come off of that property when you all start digging it up. And then, of course, there's the data center, which is gonna be rainbows and unicorns. You talked about how these wonderful things for the city of Claremore. How are you gonna compensate me and my neighbors? We get no benefit from you at all. We get destruction of our lifestyle, destruction of our property values. When I'm 89, I won't be able to sell my house for elder care because you people are making sure the city has everything they need. But what are you going to do for us? What are you going to do for us? And I have an offer for you, every one of you, any one of you. I have this nice little 3-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms, sits on 3 acres, mature pecan trees, grass, flowers, very nice. And a creek, if it survives this. Would any of you be interested in buying that house? No, because not one single one of you is willing to live behind the data center. Not one single one of you would do it. But you expect me to do it, and you expect my neighbors to do it. And what is our benefit? What are we going to get from this? You're going to get stuff. Y'all are going to get money. Y'all are going to get stuff for all of the things in the city. What are we going to get? Nothing. Nothing. Remember my face, because I represent the people that live in that development, the babies that live in that development. And when you go to sleep at night, remember my face, because you are destroying our lives for money. That's all. Huh?
How long have you lived there, too?
I've only lived there 5
The
years.
next person
But
is
my neighbors have
Alexander
been
Miller.
30 years.
Good evening. My name is Alexander Miller, and I'm a resident of this community. I want to speak to what I and you, despite your rubber stamping to the contrary, have consistently heard from people across this city and county. Deep concern, frustration, and a strong sense that this project has moved forward without meaningful public awareness or consideration of input from individual taxpayers. When decisions of this magnitude affecting land use, taxes, and the long-term direction of our community are not openly discussed from the beginning, it undermines trust. And right now, trust is exactly what's lacking at both the city and county level. This council has already heard significant public opposition. That matters. Public comment is not just a box to check after the fact, it's a reflection of the people you purport to represent. Last meeting, we heard some bootlicking union shill ramble on about some vague economic benefits to kids graduating from high school and becoming iron workers or something. Said he has been working on his temporary job for 30 years or something. Maybe that's why they need the tax incentive for decades, because it won't be built for decades. In all seriousness, we are well aware that facilities like this project, Mustang Data Centers, provide very little in the way of long-term employment. Meanwhile, the tax incentives being offered are very real and very substantial. When we grant them, we are shifting financial burden onto taxpayers, and that burden is very real and very substantial. Those individuals who are going to be putting the bill in the form of tax burden shifting already can't afford it. So, simple question. Have we, the people who are effectively funding these incentives for big data to come into our community and cash in on our land for the next several decades, truly given our informed consent? From what I'm seeing and hearing, the answer is a resounding no. We couldn't have. Seems to be our city manager has deliberately been hiding it from the public, and our city council has been enabling him to do so. This is about making sure development is transparent, lawful, and aligned with the will of the community, not rushed forward despite the significant and unresolved concerns of the people who will foot the bill for the next 25 plus years. So my request is simple. Given the ongoing litigation involving Claremore City Council on related issues, I urge you to move to the table this TID decision and place an indefinite moratorium on Project Mustang, at least until those legal questions are resolved. A pause is not obstruction. It's responsible governance. It's what half the data center projects across this great nation are doing. And at this juncture, it's the only prudent move for each of you individually and as citizens of this community and as a public body elected to represent the people, not foreign and corporate data profiteers. At the end of the day, your duty is to the people of the city. And who is it actually for? Who's actually for this? Anybody?
People building it, that's about it.
Yeah, these people over here? And against?
Yeah.
Please show that their voices matter. Move for and pass a moratorium on Project Mustang tonight before things get ugly, because they're about to. Thank you.
Next up is Tyler Henley.
My name is Tyler Hunley. I own a business here in Rogers County. I'm in the county. I file a 901 every year, pay taxes every year. It's taxes on equipment that you own. And you're telling me that a data center gets to come in and not pay any taxes? They're talking about billions of dollars that they can just donate to the public. Why can't they pay the taxes? Why? And first off, this data center is in the county. This is not in the city. You guys all live in the city in order to be able to be on the city council. Why can this not go to a public vote? Like, it's affecting people in Rogers County, not Claremore City. It's a disgrace that they can donate all this money, but they don't have to pay taxes for 25 years. In 25 years, this could be obsolete. You got people like Elon Musk and all these other people talking about data centers up on Mars and the moon, stuff like that. The data center might not even be here in 25 years. What tax incentives are we going to get from it then? So the people of Claremore don't benefit from this at all. At all. Pollutes water, pollutes air. Air cooled, you can't do air cooled. That's insane. And 15 to 50,000 gallons of water a day, like, there's no way. No way.
Rick Reimer.
Hello, I'm Rick Reimer, and I first want to say I appreciate the chance for the people to be heard. And I pray that you will really hear the voice of the people here this evening. And I have a vested interest in this particular issue and in this community personally. I've been a resident. I have one of the unique distinctions to be under City of Claremore electric, but not in the City of Claremore. So I can't vote for council members who represent me, but I do pay City of Claremore electric, and I have for 30 years. And I know my rates are now public record, and I hope that my rates don't go up as a result of my speaking here this evening. I've been a volunteer in this community for many, many years in various organizations and boards and gridirons and a wide variety of things that I've done in and all around this community. I've done benefit auctions for many community organizations, 11 years as the campus director, which I could talk about Claremore electric issues there. We kept a spreadsheet. And I have a vested interest in this. My property is about a mile downwind from the proposed data center. I'm against the data center, as are a vast number of the people here in the last few meetings. And I see a lot of reasons not to put the data center in. Certainly not in the neighborhood. And as other people have said, 800 feet is not very far over your backyard fence. How many of you would like a data center in your, how many of you would be for it if it was coming right 800 feet over your back fence and destroying your property values? Resource drain, water, electric, noise pollution, light pollution, discharge water, and property evaluation. We have documented proof of thousands of dollars in devaluation for properties that are in this proposed data center site, and that's reprehensible. I don't see the benefit to the community. What's in it for us? Jobs? Well, there'll be a lot of jobs. They'll be all out-of-towners, no disrespect, but maintenance and operation, very few. If it's such a good thing, why the secrecy? Why only now are we hearing about it? And why are communities across our state and across our nation all defending tooth, nail, and claw against a data center? If it's that good, why are every community fighting against it? The only few that are in favor of it randomly, mostly it's because they all stand to gain personally. It's a benefit for them. Council members, I applaud your willingness to serve the community and the time that you devote to your job. And I'm sure you're going to sign up for this. But it's here. It's time to serve your constituents who don't want this. You have to live with your vote, and the citizens you are elected to serve, the people you will see at church, the ballpark, and the grocery store, do not want this data center. I ask you to do the right thing, which may not be the easy thing.
Thank you, Rick.
Deny or defer.
Chris Gilhead is next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christopher Gilham. I'm going to stick with paper this time to be on track. With a major decision being made tonight, I would like to just say a few things. I still don't like the data center. The fact is that it's either all 3 stages or nothing. It's alarming to me because every stage gets 25 years of a property tax break. I know they're not pulling money directly from the taxes of the people, but it's a 25-year tax break on each stage, amounting to 75 years of tax benefits as if it were. And it seems a little bit biased as a small business owner and a part-time hobby farmer. I don't get that benefit at all. But one of the things is people work at these fully constructed data centers. They don't come home feeling the sense of accomplishment of, I produced this, like a modern manufacturing job. If these tax breaks are so awesome, why can't we offer them to everyone? It feels like it's throwing the city peanuts, to me, in my understanding, throwing the city peanuts to not have to pay property taxes on a whole bunch of other things. But that's just my opinion. And in response to Beal saying this will not be an AI data center, I totally believe that you are saying what you know to be true. I don't believe you are lying. But with the information and technology that comes out every single day, is that going to be true in 5 years? Could this be transformed into an AI data center? We're told no today, but could it later? That's a strong possibility. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Fury for the letter that he wrote on May 15th, because I read it and it answered a lot of my questions. Now, my only critique to that would be I would love more of it. I would love more letters. I would love to feel more involved in what's going on in the city. Like with Andy's and HTO coming to Claremore, we kind of found out about it when it popped up. And I mean, there's other things to be said there, but it would be nice to be more involved in the loop of information. And I would like to address just one thing, not to City Council, but to my fellow Claremore citizens. Be careful who you yoke arms with. If the enemy of your enemy is not your friend, especially when they're making railing accusations against people online. One awesome thing about Oklahoma, there's a lot of Christians, like everybody probably goes to church in here, roughly everybody. Is it something that Christ would like? When Christ told us to pray for those which despitefully use you and persecute you, he didn't say, put a railing accusation online every time a city council member made you upset. Like, I totally agree. We don't have to agree with everything our city council does, but making a railing accusation about somebody online is getting a little out of hand. And like, it's just not Christ-like. The old saying goes, a broken clock is right twice a day. Independent journalists can be correct. I don't hate anyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Next is Linda Palmer.
Well, I only have bullet points, so I don't have everything written down. But again, thank you guys, and I wouldn't want to be in any of your shoes, absolutely, including John Kerry's. Anybody's, wouldn't want to. I would like to, I did read something that was put out by the city about misinformation. I think there could be misinformation on both sides, okay? So my proposal would be, why don't we just put a pause on this? Let's really do some deep searching on this and see really what is best. There's just a flood of stuff on Facebook, and it's people saying what's happening here and there. Did you know America has more data centers than any other country? Big time. We've got 4,000 to 5,000 and 3,000 in the works. Now, let me tell you something. Yes, I listen to Facebook, and I didn't bring my tinfoil hat, but I should have, because what I'm going to come through is why I'm against data centers, okay? I don't know if anybody here's heard of 2030 agenda. Have you guys heard of that? 2030, well, where I'm getting my information from is Catherine Austin Fitz. Catherine was in DC. She worked under the Bush administration, the Clinton administration. She was hired to serve on the Federal Reserve Board. She turned it down. She found $21 trillion missing. To date, it's 50 plus. Catherine Austin Fitz says they need all these data centers for total surveillance, total control of your money, total control of your spatial distance, where you can go. Have y'all heard of 15-minute cities? They're real, folks. So what she tells, what I'm listening to her, she's a sharp lady, she's very smart. I am concerned all the health, I'm concerned about the sound, what it can do to cortisol. There's so much information out there. But let's have a time where we can put it all out there. I love the way it sounds. It sounds wonderful. I love it. I just want to make sure it's all pros and cons are working together and that we're not hurting us and we're not putting ourselves into a digital prison. Okay? Catherine Austin Fitz. Go look her up. She's a mighty, mighty, brilliant lady. And that's all I'm going to say. I would ask you to put it on hold. Let's just hold some conversations and learn what we're looking at and weigh it as a community. And I would have liked to have seen this in a bigger facility, a community center or something, so that everybody could listen and be a part. Anyway, that's just me. And I do appreciate you. You're my council person. Thank you.
Sarah Gray.
So we entered this letter into the record last time. You guys met, but just for the interest of all new parties here, we're going to do it again. My name is Sarah Gray, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the local workforce coalition representing building and construction trade workers across northeastern Oklahoma, including electricians, plumbers and pipe fitters, elevators, iron workers, laborers, operating engineers, sheet metal workers, and other building trade workers. Collectively, we represent more than 400 blue-collar workers and retirees in Rogers County and thousands more in surrounding green country. These are skilled tradespeople who already have deep roots here. They have kids in Claremore schools, and they care for their aging family members here. They shop and pay taxes here, and we hope they're all home having dinner with their families right now after an honest day's work. We understand that data center projects are currently raising real concerns in communities across Oklahoma. We can only speak to what we know from direct experience. For nearly 20 years, our trades have worked side by side on data center projects in Oklahoma, including both short and long-term construction work and long-term maintenance and operational support. For example, over the last 10 years alone, Oklahoma tradesmen have filled thousands of job assignments on the Google site and prior. Those were not thousands of different people coming in and out with no connection to the community. Many of those assignments were the same green country workers returning over multiple phases of construction, maintenance, upgrades, and expansions. When local governments and developers prioritize the hiring of and investment in local workforce, you don't drive by a job site and see nothing but Texas license plates. Phased development creates stability for our families and training opportunities for apprentices, and it allows projects to become part of the local economy instead of just passing through. And when local workers have steady work close to home, that money circulates back through our schools, businesses, churches, and communities. Our priorities are straightforward. We want to see local workers and contractors prioritized for construction and long-term maintenance, strong safety standards on the job site, and fair wages and benefits. Workforce development is so much more than a talking point. It is how we literally hand Oklahomans the tools they need to provide for themselves and their families. We're not asking this council to ignore other concerns. We're just asking that local workers, future apprentices, and family-sustaining jobs be part of the public interest this council considers. Thank you for your time, and thank you for considering the skilled trades workforce and our families as part of this discussion. And I'll just note that construction trade laborers, union and non-union, are historically not folks who lick boots. They are the folks who put them on in the morning. They go out and they build the infrastructure, the buildings, the schools, homes, businesses that have made this country great since its inception. And I'll end with that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Devin Shanholz.
I'm sorry, is it Devin? I apologize.
Yes.
Devin, thank you.
Hello, my name is Devin Schomholtz. I am 26 years old. I have lived in Claremore for about 15 years. Moved here when I was about 11 from Catoosa. I've been around this area for as long as I could realistically remember. I'm a third-year apprentice who is actively working. I've done about a year and a half on data centers myself, and am looking forward to other data centers that are currently coming up into the area. They actively keep me in work instead of having me go out of state, spending my money out of state, and living out of state. I'm a very family-oriented man. I currently have no wife or children, but hope to one day be able to put roots down in this community, and being able to work on a project like this data center within my own community would be astronomically beneficial, not only to me, but the people around me. I just wanted to come up here and say thank you for your time. Thank you for the consideration of the community. I understand your concerns, and I hope that everything, as many people have come up here to say, that God is put first, that the right thing is done. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you, David.
Eduardo Gutierrez.
Good evening. I too have also worked on a data center. I can't stand up here and tell you guys not to do it, because quite honestly, anyone who has a phone nowadays is directly tied into a data center. Whether it's the internet, getting on Facebook to post something, ordering something on Amazon, quite literally, you are inadvertently using a data center. And I can't tell you guys not to do it here and then turn around and ignore the ones that are in other states. I would much rather have it close by. That way we can have a close eye on it and sorry. And if it is negatively affecting in any way, that we can obviously legally, strike it down. But Pryor's a prime example. It's been there for 20 plus years. Just looking at what the average cost of the electricity bill out there is, I could be wrong, but I think it was like around $150, which is about less than what I'm paying. So thank you for your consideration. Thank you for everyone who's bringing up your concerns, because they're valid. But it's every day. It's just one of those things that it's going to happen, whether it's here or somewhere else. I would just much rather it happen here. That way we can look over it, and if we need to iron out the details, then we'll do it together. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to buy my house so you can keep an eye on it?
Yeah, sure thing. How much?
Kristen Carroll.
Kristen? Okay. Carol?
Yes.
Howdy, everybody. I grew up here in Rogers County, and I graduated from Claremore High School in 2015. Claremore is my home. I've lived here my whole life. I attended RSU, but I ultimately decided to pursue becoming an electrician. I wanted to build a life for myself here, and I feel incredibly grateful that I'll have this career for as long as I choose to. One of the hardest things for young people in communities like ours is feeling like you have to leave to build a future. I'm here tonight because I want kids growing up in Rogers County today to have more choices than my generation had. For me, becoming an electrician was more than a job decision. It was stability and a shot at retiring with dignity. I know there are concerns, and I respect them. People should ask hard questions about major projects coming into our city, every single one of them. But I also think we need to ask ourselves what kind of future we want for our future generations. Do we want our kids and grandkids to feel like they have to move away to Tulsa, Dallas, or somewhere else just to have an opportunity? Projects like this can create pathways for local people. Not just executives or outsiders, but apprentices, tradespeople, young people, and families trying to build a life. I'm not here as a politician or a developer. I'm here as someone who grew up here and wants Rogers County to have a future that young people can actually see themselves in. I think about the students sitting in classrooms right now who may not know which path they will choose that will lead to a profitable career, and I was one of those kids. An apprenticeship changed the direction of my life. It gave me a career, purpose, and a future without having to leave my home. And I hope we don't let fear prevent us from creating opportunities for the next generation of electricians. Thank you.
Dustin, is it Phelan?
Phelan.
Phelan, thank you.
Hello, my name is Dustin Phelan. I'm the business manager of IBW Local 584, the Electricians Union. I represent more than 700 electricians in Green Country and 140 active and retired electricians in Rogers County. I want to share two perspectives with you all tonight. First, as a business manager, and second, as a son and dad who grew up and raised my kids right down the road. In the last 2 weeks, two major electrical companies reached out to our local to let us know they're interested in bidding this project. They called us because if they get the contract, they need us to help them hire local workers. That means we get to go out and recruit not just electricians, but folks in the community who want to be trained to become one, no matter what they're doing right now. Now, taking off my business manager's hat, I really want folks to understand that these jobs mean something to people like me, my kids, who grew up in a blue-collar home. My dad was an electrician for 42 years. He's retired now, and thanks to his good retirement benefits and health care, he didn't have to work until he died. But he wasn't always around when we were growing up, because there wasn't work. He had to travel, provide for our family. And that's how it is, and that's how it goes for a lot of families who work the trades. Me and my kids experienced the same thing after I became an electrician. 15 years ago, the work wasn't here. And I missed a lot of birthdays, sports, and special moments because I was on the road. Even though me and my kids all had a lot of nights going to bed without their dad, we never had to go to bed hungry. When we needed to go to the doctor, we could. These jobs change families for the better, and that's how you change a community for the better. I'm usually focused on bringing good paying electrical jobs to Green Country, but I can tell you from experience that data centers provide opportunities that have nothing to do with construction. My daughter with no experience was hired and trained to work security at Google, making $18 an hour with benefits. It's more than tech and construction jobs. There's jobs your kids, neighbors, and anyone else has a shot at. People want to work for a living, and I ask you to vote yes today.
Isaac Irwin.
You don't have another birthday, do you?
We have a daughter that might be having a baby today.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys for serving, doing what you do. I do agree with a lot of you in the fact that there's been some things that haven't been correctly uncovered. I don't want to say illegal or whatever, but at the same time, I agree with this man that just spoke and some of the union people. There's a lot of jobs where I work at, these maintenance and electrician guys, they're making $120,000 plus a year. So you might think of those things when we are making a vote or we're doing whatever, we're pausing or we're doing. Just know that there are jobs coming, but transparency is a good thing. That's all I can say.
Amber Robinson Rodriguez.
I'm asking you guys to table this. I'm asking you guys to start to reconcile some of the division in this community. And the first way to do that is to table this vote. I was pretty upset at the last meeting, but it took a lot to get me there, and it took months of the pointedly withheld answers, coordinated efforts, and specifically the personal things that you have said about me, Mr. Ferry. In January, we were told that this is the developer's story to tell. Well, you told it on your website wrong, and then a rogue journalist who's now trespassed from this meeting started the narrative. You guys could have started that. You guys could have been telling this story from the start. Yeah, Mr. Hegan, I think you need to tell people about the work that you did for the city and build for the citizens back in November of 25. And you need to tell them what that memo to Maggie says. You need to tell them why you're withholding it under the grounds of attorney-client privilege. You've done so under CETA and the city. If I'm wrong in my claims, and all of you have had the time to review the records that I provided and the advisory from the Attorney General's office, I provided all that last week. Is Maggie being investigated? Because that's the grounds to withhold those records. So we owe some explanations for what's going on. And we know about the conference with the Attorney General's team. What's going on with that? Was any of that at the direction of council? Does council even know about this? No. If there's something that you guys were not totally telling us, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to come forward before you go forward. Because if we're wrong in our claims, if I'm wrong in my claims, you could sue me for defamation. If you're wrong in your claims for denying me those records, I could sue you. My line's in the water. My fishing expedition is going fine. So, where's the explanation? Where's the explanation for the identical presentations that you described? If that was not business, if that was not discussion of business, you wouldn't be voting on this right now. That's introduction of a project. That is part of the discussion of business. They made changes based on feedback from you guys. They said that on the record at the last public meeting, so that'll be hard to defend. And for you to not be aware of the connection to Mr. Fury's wife, if you're gonna say that as mudslinging, look at who is literally holding the shovel. That's all I have.
Amber Ellis.
What was the name? I'm sorry.
Amber Ellis.
Hello guys, so good to see you today, especially after the recent National Days of Prayer and the rededication of America, since we come to these meetings and we pray to the Almighty God, the creator of heaven and earth, and the sustainer of your very breath. I just want to say that there's a bigger agenda here with the data centers and collection of data on everyone, a big machine that you need to look into. You either don't know or you're playing stupid very well. So it takes a lot of data centers and a lot of this green scan to collect our data to have a one world government and one world control over us. The people here that don't want this, you shouldn't want this. Even if I'm wrong, it will poison our water, it will poison our land will be dead, we cannot grow data centers for food. The World Health Organization does not look out for our good, neither does the United Nations, who all are behind all this. And so I'm asking each and every one of you, before the Almighty God and all the people that you represent, now is your time to do what's right and do what the people who elected you to do. Do it for them, not for the corporations that you stand behind or have deals with or whatever the case may be.
Keith M.
I'm sorry, what was it? Letter M? Oh, okay.
I'm against this data center. I believe it should not have been even presented to the citizens of Claremore because of the current condition of the electrical grid. I know that this issue has started before most of y'all's tenure started here at Claremore, but when you decided to take that office, you also inherited its problems. I hear power outages almost daily, and even rolling outages during the summer when it's 105 degrees outside and everyone's AC is running. I believe we should have been more focused on updating the grid for current paying customers before adding a high user of electricity like the data center. In addition, it's not adding a high number of jobs, so no benefit to the residents of Claremore there. Revenue can be the only benefit I see, but not really. Billion-dollar companies are pretty good at finding loopholes at not paying what they originally agreed to. That's usually why they are billion-dollar companies. Lastly, the city-state doesn't need more revenue. We are taxed at over 40%, but our roads still suck. Teachers aren't well paid, 50th in education. We have all heard it before. More money will fix it. Like the lottery, like taxing marijuana, like the turnpikes where the tolls will stop after constructed. Perhaps we should find the waste and fraud money where that money is going instead of adding more taxes just for it to be wasted or fraudulently spent. If you are not willing to do that, you are part of the problem. My understanding is that we have been buying electric from GRDA for 55 years and have never put a bid to see if we're receiving a fair rate. How about we start with that? No to the data center.
Lane Brown.
Good evening, councilors. I would just like to say that there's no public restrooms, so I think a lot of people outside have to use the restroom. That's a violation of the open meeting law. It's point blank. It's clear. You got veterans locked outside, by the way. You guys, you know, I sent an email to every single one of you, and Ms. Cottom, it is good to see you here today. I'm glad that you're healthy. Thank you for being here. But look, I sent an email to every single one of you. I said, requested a bigger venue. We told you guys last meeting that there was going to be more people here than the last one. There's 56 people locked outside. You guys, Mr. Fury, why was there not an accommodation? You can't say that it's commencement week at RSU, because it's not. That's over with. Or is it because you arrested someone at RSU and they told you in writing from the president that they don't want you there because you arrest citizens who speak out? Is that what happened? And I would just like to point out, the city of Claremore had court about an injunction hearing, and Mr. Heaven, I don't know how much we pay you, but your pay needs to be decreased because you came to court very unprepared. And as a taxpayer to this community, it was a disgrace because I feel like a disbarred attorney should not be able to show up, our taxpayer-funded city attorney, in court. Another thing that I want to point out, you know, we're just going to ram this data center through. You've had multiple people come through and tell you that they don't want this. You have a Gold Star mother in Oakland Drive neighborhood who has told you that she does not want this. You've had people, countless people, tell you they don't want this and how it's going to affect them. So are you guys going to buy their property when their property value decreases $100,000 and they can't sell their property or go away? Or are we just going to make them live with it? Are we going to have this massive piece of economic development just backed up to their property and we're just going to say screw them? This is your guys' chance to course correct, table this, deny it. I'm okay with denying it. I don't even want it tabled. I'm okay with denying it. The amount of secrecy and corruption that has came along with this deal is unreal. The amount of things that have been uncovered is unreal. Like, we have text messages from John Fury. I gave them all to you guys last meeting, where he communicated with Beal Infrastructure to have a subquorum meeting. He specifically stated, we'll meet in two groups with two different counselors, two different groups, to bypass the open meetings law, so that you guys don't have to, so you guys don't have quorum, you don't have to post the meeting, you don't have to post it 24 hours in advance, you don't have to do any of that. That is illegal. So the fact that we're even talking about this and that we're even having this meeting right now is unreal. I don't know how many more people have to show up and tell you they don't want this. What's it gonna take? We elected you guys. This is your chance to course correct and listen to us. 56 people outside. Thank you guys. Thank you, Josh.
Robert McDonald.
McDonald, 18301 Clear Creek Court, Claremore. Resident in the county for 16 years. Seen good, seen bad, seen ugly. I consider this part of the ugly. I don't know what, I didn't get to hear much what's going on because I've been locked outside. So we were, I believe it says, I just Googled, is there any laws concerning restrooms in public meetings in Oklahoma? I believe it says in Oklahoma, if a public meeting is hosted by a state or local government, the host venue must comply with specific regulations dictated by public health laws, building codes, and federal disability access laws. I don't think we have that here, do we? Mayor, do we have that here?
I don't know.
One other point that I want to make, this is very short and this is very sweet. Straight to the point. I believe each of y'all are familiar with the Bible in some point or not. Josh, I believe you said something about the choir. I know some of the others are. I believe in Judges chapter 9, verses 7 through 15. I'd like for all of y'all to note that. I'd like for all of y'all to read that. That's the parable of the trees. It's about the trees electing a king. The data center is the thorn tree. That's all I have to say.
Nancy Buffet.
Good evening, council, friends and neighbors, and public servants. I admit that I haven't always kept up on city business. I haven't always come to the meetings and been active and listened and gone on and read what's going on. But the decisions and the operations that were happening, and we trusted that they were going in the right way because we trusted you all. Only the secrecy and the rush to get this through has been quite a shock, as you know, to our community. We were shocked in February to find out about this at a bigger meeting, and since then there was no meetings, and now we have small meetings. It seems like it would have maybe gotten bigger to include more people so that we could weigh in our opinions on these things and have honest discussions and not just a lot of back and forth on the internet, which is not very helpful. It's not that we're against economic development. I hear these young people and the electricians group, yes, let's have some economic development. Can we weigh in on what we think would be good for us? And can we say we choose this and not that? Or does it get the choice get made for us? Aren't there other things besides a data center that we could be having here? Our concerns come from the unknown effects, which you cannot possibly know. You're agreeing to promises that will be made and what they'll say they're going to do. However, those things are broken all the time, and we see people who are living this. We see people who are giving testimonies, and they have nothing to gain from it, but just their experience of saying, hey, this is what happened in our community, watch out. The ecologic impact, I don't have to go through it, you've heard it. Water, the quality of human life, the hum, the eminent domain, which is very real to some people. It's maybe not your backyard, but it is ours. Property values, standards that are violated. How do you deal with that? Does it get shut down, or does it get a fine and then they keep going? That's very common in big corporation things like this. What happens if the data center goes obsolete in a few years? Do they want more land, more power, more water to improve? If it closes down completely, does that land get reused? Can it be reused, or is it just trash? Is it wise for us to depend so heavily on this one entity for money to go to our police, our roads, all these different things that say they're going to do? Is it wise for us to just throw all our oh, you're going to provide our money, thank you so much? I don't think that's wise. The compete with China argument is hardly realistic. We have almost 5,000 data centers. They have between 3.
Thank you, Ms. Bethea.
Sam Bethea.
Lisa, will you start the timer when he starts speaking, please, so he has his time? Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, council, fellow citizens, thanks for hearing me out here. Okay. There's been a lot of negative, and I just want to tell you a success story. Nancy and me moved to Claremore in the 80s because my father was here. He was a well-known physician, and he probably delivered some of y'all. So anyway, we were happy to come here, and we picked Claremore because it seemed like a nice, quiet, residential community. So anyway, so we raised 4 kids here. They're born and raised here. And 26 years ago in 2000, we purchased land from Bob Warman, and we borrowed money from RCB. Our neighbor was Miss Briscoe, good friend.
Mr. Bethea, we're going to pause the timer and let the train pass so we can hear you, and you'll still have your time. I apologize.
Okay?
You ready? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we bought this land on 4160 Road, across the road from the now proposed data center. And at that time, it was all residential and agriculture. And there were just houses up and down the road and cattle in the back. So I had no idea that the zoning was changed until recently this year to industrial, and that the data center was coming all the way up to 4160. We paid the mortgage off just last year. All right, so y'all can wipe out this 25-year success story that me and my family worked on and built tonight, or not. With all the controversy and valid concerns opposed to this project by the residents, it should be dropped. Please don't sell us out. Thank you.
Darren Blanchard.
I'm sorry, Mike, snap up. Darren Blanchard, Mounds Creek County. Last time I spoke, I opened by questioning the venue, questioning the intent of having it here. A location to discourage participation, a location to host a public hearing that doesn't have a public bathroom. John Ferry said this venue was selected for its superior AV equipment. The A in AV stands for audio. You don't have working microphones. Let that sink in. The intent of this location is clear, but I digress. I request tonight you to table any decision on Project Mustang. I was actively involved in stopping the data center in Quita by Bill Infrastructure, Project Atlas. The developer pulled their application without stating a reason. Here's why they did. They backed out because they were caught in activity which they are responsible for impersonating members of the community to send fraudulent emails to the Coweta City Council asking for the data center to be approved. At minimum, every person who was impersonated has a defamation lawsuit against Bill, any public policy firm they hired, and any co-conspirators at the city. The buck stops with Bill, and they are culpable. To be clear, this goes beyond defamation. This is most likely RICO. We've had speakers before who labeled this as a racketeering project, and the words are ringing true. I'll take it a step further. You are dealing with what is soon to be known as a criminal enterprise. If you doubt me, then please explain why Coweta is under investigation by the local, county, and state authorities for their actions related to Project Atlas. And newsflash, the ante is up because the scope of the investigation is now at the next level. Ask me how I know. I have obtained text messages from Coweta officials detailing their confrontation of Bill on the phony emails, and Bill admitted responsibility. I have it right here in writing. It says Bill had control over the program, a program to engage in criminal operation, because that's what this is, make no mistake. It's my opinion, and likely soon proven as fact, you're dealing with a fraud, a phony, a professional scam artist, and you're inviting them to your community. How are you going to explain this to your people when I'm forewarning you that what these people are? And I have the receipts to back it up. You better take my advice, because I'm letting you know of the storm that's coming. I urge you, stay clear of this proposal until proper investigation can be done. Now, I have prepared a folder with this text chain between the Coweta mayor and vice mayor, and included something you can put on your refrigerator when you get home. That's how I know this is in the hands of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Toothpaste is out of the tube. Simply put, do your job, represent the people of Claremore, and not curry favor to someone who has to lie, cheat, and steal to make friends. You have 9 copies. I'd like you to give each of those to the city council members. It's not a true presentation for the record. I thought they were working.
They are working. They are working. Yes, they're working.
Next up is William Sweet.
Hello, council, mayor, John Ferry. My name is William Sweet. I live on 1914 North Chambers Terrace, probably about a mile from the proposed center that I'm very plugged in to the community that I just found out about in January because somebody broke it. This has been being worked on in secret for a couple of years. Y'all, there's been money spent. I don't know how big you're into it, John, to be honest. I don't know how big the city's into it. Every meeting I've been to with y'all, it feels like y'all are representing Bill, and you're shutting down the city. And I don't understand it. It literally feels like you guys are working for Bill and not the Claremore citizens and not the Rogers County area, which you're a part of. I mean, I've heard the jobs thing. That's, you know, there's some temporary jobs that might come if you talk to anybody. I've talked to several people that have worked, used to work, electricians that's worked on them things, and they say those things are bad deals. They're just, honestly, our city is not structured to handle a behemoth like Bill Construction, because they will run over us, they'll run over infrastructure, they have the money to do what they want to do. I am taken back. It does feel almost like a racketeering thing, because it feels like when we come to the council, we're getting a stonewall. I got stonewalled by him and by him. They said basically, it's their fault, it's their problem because they live by, it's industrial land. Well, we're finding out that it was something zoned within the last year after you started the plan that got it zoned for it can receive this, I believe. I'll have to look into that. But anyway, I've never seen participation like this in something. And it's just like, we want growth, but we don't, this isn't growth, this is, somebody's coming in and taking over all your industrial land. And now you don't have anywhere to grow industrial. If we had leadership, I think John said, well, AXH can't hire nobody, so they have to build a plant somewhere else. Well, John Ferry, why wouldn't you go to the tech centers? Why don't you go to the high schools? All these people say, let's get some welders started. Let's get some welding programs started. Let's build a sustaining industry, a big money industry that supports data centers, that it will fit in the little valley of industrial land we have, not a behemoth that's going to pollute the whole city. So I implore you, please, this is not going to work. I can sense it. I think if you guys go through, I feel like you're going to, it's on you. And this is a warning. And I think this is the wrong thing. And I'm a spiritual man. I am a believer in Christ. And that's why I believe this feels terrible. So I implore you, please, represent the community, please. Thank you.
Teresa Luce.
To the city councilors, thank you for taking the time to listen to your constituents about the proposed data center. We really do appreciate it. The decision to put a data center in Claremore is one we shouldn't take lightly. This will be life-altering for most of the population in Claremore and surrounding towns. There are several solar farms, battery storage facilities, and wind farms planned in surrounding communities. So it's not just Claremore who is going to be affected. These communities will be affected by your decision for the next 50-plus years. This is a generational decision. Before these meetings start, there's always a flag salute, a pledge of allegiance, and is always said, as well as a prayer. This prayer that is said means a lot to those who serve the Lord. Friday night, we had the amazing visit with Glenn Schaefer. He is a pastor at Destiny Life Church. We stood around and had some really good dialogue about the data center. I believe he walked away with a very good understanding of what all the data center entails. This brings me back to tonight's vote. You, the city council, have the right to table the data center and all the votes that pertain to this project until a later date, so that just maybe we can all sit around in a round table and have a discussion and give you guys some information. I would also like for you to think about the valuation of the properties in and around the data center. There is a particular property that backs to the data center. The amount of depreciation that has happened in this house since December is mind-blowing. It went from an evaluation in December of $248,000 to an April evaluation of $205,000. Since this loan and several other in the area are Cherokee Indian loans, they get an evaluation every month of how their land goes, the price goes up and down. I would also like for you to think of the other homes and real estate, the other homes in the area and the real estate agents that work in this town to make money off the sales of the houses. Their income will be depleted quite a bit. I just want you guys to consider these things when thinking about your vote tonight. Just so everyone is aware, I saw the map that they presented tonight, and they have presented 4 different maps with all of those buildings in different locations. And also, Tony Sullivan, one of the contractors defending this project, is allegedly the brother of GRDA President Dan Sullivan. Thank you.
Lacey Sweet.
OCO, my name is Lacey Ray Sweet. I've lived in Claremore for my entire life, and I will be 25 soon. I'm here tonight like many other president attendees because I'm in opposition to Project Mustang. Like I've asked in my other emails, this data center was being built in your backyard. Would you continue on with the development? And would you actively choose to live next to it? No matter what Beal says about environmental protections, there will still be pollutants leaking into the ground, our water, and air. Blindly trusting a corporation is ignorant. Studies even show how data centers create heat islands and cause surrounding temperatures to rise by several degrees, and it's already hot enough here in Oklahoma. Our resources, environment, health, and wildlife are more important than 35 jobs. Claremore has made it very clear that we do not want a data center. Putting one here and accommodating a business instead of listening to the people of this town is corrupt. Having a meeting like this in a building that you know won't hold everyone is wrong and sneaky. The Bible says that this land is a gift from God, and He commands us to take care of it alongside each other and the animals that dwell. So please say no to Project Mustang. Thank you for your time.
Joshua Wilburn.
Joshua Wilburn. He's at the restroom. He'll be here shortly.
Okay, come back.
Okay, we'll come back. Allison Bachman.
Say Bachman.
Hello, council members. I, like a lot of the previous speakers, I'm not a resident in the city limits, although I do pay City of Claremore Electric and am fully invested in this community and obviously affected by this project if it goes on. I too, I won't go into, you've heard enough by much better speakers on exact details on why it should or should not be considered. However, before I go any further, I would like to say that I can pretty well, and I'm not a gambling person, but I can pretty well bet that you've not had another subject matter that has brought this kind of interest, and especially against or negative interest. And so I hope you'll take that to heart. It really saddens me because I was in attendance at the RSU location, and with the standing room only capacity in there, it's very disheartening to me that last week I'm locked out of a meeting and this week I'm sitting outside. And if you think the train's loud in here, you ought to be out there with the trains and the wind. But I digress. But I just think it's sad that if you're really wanting the people to learn anything positive from the thing, it would behoove you to have had it in a larger venue. And that would not have taken much effort at all, especially with the kind of salaries that certain people in here, what, 165,000 or something? I guarantee you, I can come up with a meeting hall where everybody could meet. But anyway, I just think that that was a slap in the face to Claremore residents and Rogers County residents, because again, as was previously stated, this affects a lot more of us. As far as any jobs, with no more than what can be actually promised long-term, sure, there'll be some quick trades, move in and build, and I've always been self-employed in the trades too, but I also was self-employed enough and still kept my morals that there were a lot of high-paying jobs that I turned down. Money is not everything. It doesn't matter if you're an individual or a city. Money is not everything, so no matter what things this company is promising, and again, just go talk to Coweta, because I've got a lot of friends there that were in on that. Don't sell your souls for what some company is promising you pie in the sky. And the 25,000, or 25 years, excuse me, I'm obviously not a general, I don't speak, that wasn't mine, but 25-year sweetheart deal of no taxes, and then it's just picking and choosing what companies get successful. If this is such a great deal,
Thank you, Ms.
they should have been coming in. And I hope.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman.
Is Joshua back now?
Joshua.
No, he had to walk 5 miles to the bathroom.
Glenna Stidley. Glenna Stidley.
What's the next name?
Glenna Stidley.
Glenna Stidley. Okay, thank you. This is Clinton, right here.
Great. You can go right to that podium over there, ma'am.
I really don't know a whole lot about data centers.
I've got snippets here, snippets there, things I don't like, mostly don't like. One of my concerns is the sound pollution and where this data center is going up. It is, well, I've heard it affects the brain, it affects the lungs, long-term exposure to it. And it would probably drive certain people crazy depending on how their hearing is. But it is louder than you think, and it goes on 24/7. They put this data center very close to houses, to this city. How many, what is the population of Claremore? 35,000? 30? What is it? Does anybody know?
No, they don't.
Help me. But
It's
anyway.
about 20,000.
Is it 20? I've heard all kinds of things from 30 to 35,000 when you get online. This data center will have possibly maybe up to 35 management positions. So there's some tax base there. We're getting in 35 management positions. Maybe not even that much. The people that will come in and run it are contractors that the management positions control. And they're going to hire people from all over the country that have been trained to run data centers. Not Rogers County. They're not going to use Rogers County necessarily people to do anything at this data center. They will be contracted in, and they'll have been trained by, to do the jobs within these data centers. They might come in for a week or so, do their job, and leave. So it's not necessarily going to provide a lot of jobs for our city. That also helps with our tax base and moving money here in Rogers County. That's not good. Also, the resources they're going to use, that the way I understand it, and like I said, I'm not an expert on this, and I don't think anybody here probably is either.
Thank you, Ms. Dudley. Did Mr. Wilson?
I didn't know there was a timing.
Yes, ma'am, 3 minutes. Sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I'd have known ahead of time. I would have spoke.
Did Mr. Wilburn make it in?
No.
I do have one question though. What are they gonna do?
Jeff
The data
Arnett.
center is probably already obsolete.
Ma'am,
I'd like for y'all.
we can't answer any
You
questions.
can't answer any questions on this.
Ma'am, your time is up. Thank you, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Step
I'm
away
sorry.
from, yes, you're
I'm
welcome.
very
Thank
sorry.
you very much. Arnett?
Yes, Jeff Arnett.
Okay.
Thank you, by the way, for hearing me.
You did say Jeff Arnett, right?
Yes.
Yes, just making sure. Thank you. First off, thank you very much for taking the doors to us. I think that this is a very important decision that you're about to make. I think it's long-term. I would caution you not to make a speedily decision. You would open it more to the community. I'm disappointed with the venue. I've been to 3 or 4 or 5 of the city council meetings of last year, and every single time I have to be outside. If you have 20,000 people living in the city of Claremore, you should be at least put in 10% of the people in this meeting. Otherwise, you're not getting a good voice of the people. So I would encourage you, when you have a hot topic like this, that you open a venue up that would at least seat 200 people. Because that's about what you have here, Beal and the rest of the people. Please do that next time. The other thing I'd like to say is, let's not forget Pitcher and the great job that Pitcher did in managing the contaminants that are involved with that. Make sure that Beal has all the correct permits. Make sure the water resources and water runoff is caught. Make sure it's not running into my water district, into my rivers. So I would encourage you to do that. If they're having a holding pond, make sure it's not in the flood zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Micah, please. Did I pronounce that right? Eldon Williamson?
This is Lisa.
Okay.
Lisa Lees.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I changed around from last time. Lisa who?
Is it Lisa or Micah?
Yes, it's Lisa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
What was the last name?
Please.
Please? Thank you. Somebody leave their notes. Okay, so basically, you all are violating the Constitution because you don't have the authority, which we're sending you some information on that. You guys don't have the authority to do what you're doing because you all work for us. So we're going to send you a notice that you all have to fill out and prove where you have the authority to do what you're doing, and there's little bullet points, so you guys can just fill them out all the way down. And there's also a lawsuit in there that's ex parte versus Young that also informs you that you are personally liable, not the city, because you guys are personally liable for all your behavior that you're doing. Because the data center, if you do any research at all, which doesn't take very much to do, they put off a lot of emissions that are toxic. They will kill the people in town. They will kill the people around the towns. Huge health problems, lung problems, cancer. The noise pollution causes seizures and also more heart problems for other people. And then they also have the water. Pryor used 1.1 billion gallons of water just in 2025. And then also they dumped in, I don't know, 153 million gallons of wastewater back into the Neosho River. Missouri right now has losing water, and they're trying to get water up from Lake of the Ozarks. And they've cut off surrounding states that they usually supply water to because they're already running out of water. And they said that in the article that they work in Oklahoma in some area, which it didn't say specifically, it just said named Oklahoma, that they've already cut Oklahoma off and they're in a drought in that area where they cut the water off. So Missouri's already running out of water, and they got 2 data centers, the state. And they're trying to get up to Lake of the Ozarks to cough up water for them. And they're saying, no, we're not going to let you guys drain all of our water also. So what you're doing is going to kill a lot of people, which will make you all liable for murder, just so you know. So if you guys keep going forward with this, you're all going to be personally responsible. That's it.
Eldon Williamson?
Greetings to the City Council and to the citizens. My name is Eldon Williamson. And y'all, I'm asking that you postpone a permanent vote on this. There are too many unknowns, business-wise and ethically. We haven't seen the ramifications fully yet of State Bill 480, State Bill 998. We're giving tax incentives to a corporation that we don't really know anything about, that we don't have any history on. And it's the opinion of many that the tax incentives could outlive the data center itself, as the transition in data centers is very fluid and flexible right now. Many predicting that a lot of these will go into space before it's over. Tax incentives are given to businesses that multiple communities are competing for. Let's say the Tulsa bus plant, or American Airlines, or a company like Starlight Trailers, who recently went out of business. They decided to expand here. That's what these tax incentives are for, is, you know, let's say that we were competing with Catoosa, Owasso, Sand Springs, and Fort Gibson. those businesses would come to us and say, what can you give us? We have history on all of those businesses. American Airlines, the bus company, Starlight Trailers, and many others. We know nothing about this company that we're talking about giving many years of tax incentives to that may never pay off at the back end. Other options like that would be a worthy thing to give in tax incentives for. To give them a carrot. Why are we giving a carrot to some corporation that nobody wants? Other cities are running them out of town. Why would we give them incentives to come here? They'll come here for nothing because they can't find a place to go. This is wrong. Morally and ethically wrong to give a corporation like that citizens' tax money and open checkbook. We're not competing against any towns for their business. Beal is a company with questionable tactics. It's a predator that moves into towns. And that's all I've got to say, y'all.
Mindy Erickson. Mindy Erickson.
Mindy Erickson. Charlotte.
Yeah. Right here. I'm Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte, I'm sorry. You're next.
What was your name, ma'am?
Charlotte Herdlichka.
Herdlichka, okay.
Yes. No vowels in the first 4 letters. This will probably be much shorter than 3 minutes because when I'm nervous, I speak very fast. So I want to thank you all of you for showing up and for all of you giving us the opportunity to come and voice our concerns. And I will just start out just a little history. We are now raising the 5th generation Claremore, Rogers County. So we have deep roots and we like our city, we like our county, we like our neighbors, our friends, and we're here for the long haul. I'm a woman of faith, and so my couple of minutes here will be a little different than what you've heard. I feel like you've already heard numerous things about concerns, and I do have those as well. But if we look to God's word in Genesis 1:26, mankind was given dominion over the earth that God created. Dominion is the right or the power of ruling. And with that power comes great responsibility and need for great wisdom, because all choices have consequences. All affect us and all affect our environment, both here and now, and for our children, and I'm now helping raise my grandchildren, and for the generations to come. And that's the posterity that's stated in the preamble of our Constitution. We are guaranteed that by law. The right to pursue happiness, so forth. I had memorized that in 5th grade. More time is needed to study the effects on us, our natural resources that are essential. They're finite, so they can be exhausted, but they're irreplaceable when they are. To study as immediate effects well known for future generations. Our Bill of Rights Amendment 1 provides the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress. That's defined as a remedy or a repair of grievances. And I'm hearing grief among all of our city here. We're grieving even though this hasn't occurred because of the unknown. We have no model. I happen to be in medicine, and I studied cases where things were told, people were told things were safe, they were okay, and it wasn't till 20, 30 years down the road it was proven they weren't. We don't have that to look at, guys. Case in point is in the 60s, women were unknowingly given a medicine for nausea and it caused huge birth defects. Babies were born with no arms and no legs.
Thank you, Ms. Erlichka.
Very different. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Well, pray before you make your decision.
Bill Hooker.
Citizens of Claremore, Rogers County Council members, my name is Bill Hooker. I moved here in 2015 from Hawaii. I watched the local politicians and county politicians destroy that island when they thought that they could out-negotiate Pfizer and Monsanto and all those other large corporations. I'm probably one of the few people that have actually worked in a data center. At the time, it was one of the largest data centers in the 100-mile area. I know about data centers. I also know in physics, you never just do one thing. Bernoulli, most of you have never heard of, thermodynamics said energy is never created nor destroyed. If you understand that concept, anytime they upgrade a chip in one of these racks, it doesn't run cooler, despite what Beal or some of these other people might be telling you. If you generate more heat, it takes more cooling. You can't get around it. If you don't believe that, I got a bridge for you. No one has discussed the additional risk that it places on this city by having a data center. If you don't think those are prime targets for terrorists, you're mistaken. We already have one liability with the train system. And those of you that understand what kind of security goes around that will appreciate that. We just added to it if you go ahead and put this in. Other than that, I've already said everything from the other meeting, but I would like to talk about the disturbing comments that I've heard from people on both sides. This administration, some people sitting out here. Let me tell you, dissent is not something that you call people crazy over. We're all entitled to dissent. In America, anyway. Economic growth should not be done in secrecy. This is your legacy. We'll see how history treats it. That's all I got.
Did Joshua Wilburn make it back?
Joshua Wilburn. Joshua Wilburn.
Did about 2 miles. That's 10 miles away.
Okay, that's all I have.
We had a Mindy Erickson, did she not?
She had to leave.
And Joshua Wilburn's out?
Wilburn's out.
Mindy Erickson, can I take her place?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Joshua Wilburn's out.
What's your name?
Ashley Dawn Bradshaw. I live at 15031 South 4150 Road out in the country. I had a speech for y'all, but something came to my mind as I've been watching all of this. My mother, godly woman, so gentle. She was called up for a grand jury for a man who was on death row for 27 years, from the time he was 18, 19 years old. And this was his last chance. And the jury had to find him innocent. And the whole jury believed he was guilty. But there was no proof. There was no evidence. And my mother was the only one, and this is a true story, y'all, this is in Florida. She was the only one that could see that there was no proof. no substantial evidence for this man to die or to be held any longer. And she turned all of those juries' minds to see the truth. And do you know that guy, his name's Seth? And he kind of was adopted into our family. He did not know the Lord. He was set free. And my mother and my father led him to the Lord. He came looking for my mother because he thought she was the one against him, but she was actually the one for him. So he comes looking for her. And they say, she's the pastor's wife at Calvary Chapel at Fort Lauderdale. So he goes to look for her. And then he gives his heart to Jesus. And then they baptize him. And he's forever changed. And my point tonight is to y'all, my beautiful home that I've lived in for 6 years, where these geese, Cyrus and Irene, they come every year and they make babies and they stay with them until they're grown enough to go fly off back to the north, and then they come every year. I can give up my home because I know where I belong. This is not my home. I'm an alien to this world. But sitting here looking at your faces and seeing the way your responses are to these people, this is their home. And one person here, one person, John or Lindsay or Holly, one person is all it takes to change the trajectory of what is an evil agenda, y'all. Deception is great. In November, the Lord told me the year of 2026 is the year of deception, and it starts from the federal government all the way down, and everybody is deceived. It's not just the lost, it's the Christians that are deceived.
Thank you, Ms. Patricia.
That was quick, John. That was really quick to tell me thank you. But one person.
Ma'am, your time.
I get it.
Treating everybody the same, ma'am. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
But you know, and I pray for the fear of the Lord over you.
Every day.
I think you entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Is that it? Motion.
That's all I have, yes.
So speak about a bit of that.
Do you have a motion? Sorry. And a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion second to close the public hearing. Any discussion?
I have some questions. I know we had about 450 plus pages to go through, so there's just a couple of things in there that I have questions about.
Sorry.
I have to coordinate the pictures I took.
Adam, do her questions need to be on in the
Is this a public hearing?
Need to close that and then-
I think we can do it in the next
Sorry,
part.
I thought we could.
Yeah, the discussion is that we haven't
So
voted.
are we
Close the
voting?
public hearing and then questions.
And then questions.
Well, can I give a public statement? Is this the point where
No.
we give a public statement?
All of your statements are public.
No, I mean, I think during the discussion
Oh, okay.
portion, you would, Counselor.
So we have a motion and a second
There's
to
a
close
motion
the
and
public
second
hearing.
on the floor.
And then we'll have discussion on the other stuff. Any discussion on closing the public hearing? Call the roll.
Michael?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Cottom?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Ruckerhoff?
Yes.
Goldie?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Now you can discuss the agenda item here.
Okay. Item number 7. Correct?
No, I think we're just,
Now we're having discussion
Number
with
seven. I think it's number 7.
yeah, you would do items,
We need item
discussion and
7.
possible action, and then questions could be.
during that time.
Okay.
Got it. Item number 7, discussion and possible action on ordinance number 2026-11 as printed.
Okay, I do have a couple questions regarding the 400 plus pages we got. One of them, this is just for clarity and what we're being told and what the information we're receiving. So one of them says the precise number and size of data centers are subject to change. Just wanted to let the people know that that's in the information as well that we're receiving. So when you guys see those diagrams change, they're subject to change. So that was something I noticed in some of the When you go to the next one, sorry. I can take a picture because I can't do it easily on the system. The next one is, it says that the city manager will have the authority to administratively adjust the incentive district boundaries via a minor amendment in accordance with section herein. Is that something that we for sure?
Counselor, I think Mr. Saban can answer the questions. It can be the city designee, but I think there's some restrictions around those adjustments.
Yes, a minor amendment under the Local Development Act to something that doesn't change the character or purpose of the project plan, does not add more than 5% area to any incentive or increment district, and does not increase the budget. So this would delegate John basically the authority or his successor to make small minor boundary adjustments based on the site plans.
So 5% would be how much on this plan? Just out of.
It's 5% of the area, I think.
Yeah.
I would not, the law allows that. That would be something that I would bring to the council, or hope the next person would bring to the council.
It would be,
Just for my knowledge. And there's a list.
It was like watching lawyers do math.
it's about 14 acres.
14 acres.
But within the site, is that any one district, Jeff?
That's any one district.
So the way the site was configured, if one were to adjust 14 acres, one would shrink by?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And it can't have any dollar amount added to it, so.
There's no project cost on this plan because it's an incentive district, it's an increment district. We're not collecting tax revenues and paying unauthorized project costs. Instead, it would be giving the 100% exemption and obligating things.
No, you said that he couldn't do it if it added any cost to the project.
That's part of the statutory definition of
Yeah.
a minor amendment, and that's more for increment district projects.
Sorry, I have to go ahead to that. I have to look. And it says, so I think this is the part where it says, because some of the constituents had said that each, like, A, B, C restarts, but that's not true, correct? So each district restarts?
So there are 3 incentive districts, one for each proposed phase. Each phase is only allowed 25 years. It won't restart after 25 years, but each phase has to start within 10 years.
So all 3 of them have to start?
Yes. So
Okay.
the maximum amount of time covered by any of this would be 35, but it's only 25 per phase. And after the end of that 25 years, you can't extend an incentive district. If you tried to do that, the only allowable valuation that would be subject to the incentive would be new or increased valuation, and would have to go back through the full public process of this process.
So if they were to build phase 1 and 2, and they didn't touch, if there was no phase 3, or 8 years from now they decided to start a phase 3, there would only be, or let's say 15 years from now they started a phase 3. If it were adopted, they would only have 10 years on that, or 20 years on that.
Yeah, so the way it's worded is that the incentive districts will be effectuated or become active at the issuance of a CO, or if
Which
it's
is
earlier.
occupancy,
Yes.
correct?
Or if it's earlier, no more than 10 years after the adoption of the project plan. So if it takes them more than 10 years to start that 3rd phase, or even the 2nd phase, or even the 1st phase, that means that they're just getting a shorter period of time subject to the incentive.
There was something in here about additional property. I was just wondering what that was kind of referring to. It's 4.8 on 233.
Sir, can you speak to, we can hear you, please?
He's just quiet.
Counselor, is that the section, I believe, 4.8 on 233? That's if they were to acquire additional property in the industrial park, like if they were to go, and it doesn't allow them to zone or rezone anything outside. If they were to go buy AXH or MST manufacturing, they could come back through a process.
233.
Yeah. Additional property, the agreement shall apply to both the property and any other adjacent real property within the industrial park. That was a change early on. The template said additional property, and we wanted to make sure it was very clear that it had to be within the industrial park.
So, yeah, and the incentive itself, the incentive district's boundaries can't change except through an amendment process, whether that's a minor amendment or if it exceeds that, it'd be a major amendment. If it's a major amendment, it has to go back through the full public process as if it was a new project plan. And that's really just it's really more applicable, I think, to personal property located within the incentive districts. Because they can't add property to the incentive district boundaries without you also doing it.
I did notice with water supply, there's not really a cap on the building phases.
Yeah, they won't use near as much on the building phase.
There's no maximum stated, like it's.
During the building process, no, man, there's a construction meter, and we typically, they'll do, if they go forward, if the project goes forward, there'll be site control, they'll fill up water trucks to keep dust down, which is typical. All that's standard through the city's design criteria, so.
And this may be a stupid, I didn't understand there was one on counterparts. I didn't know what that was about.
Counterparts are just the other parties that are subject to the incentive agreement. If you remember from the presentation 2 weeks ago, for incentive districts, you can't use a taxing entity's levy in the incentive without their express written authorization. So all the taxing entities are party to this agreement. So if you look at the very end, there's signature pages for all of them to sign off, and that's why it's been going to their governing body for the last 6 months.
Okay. And there's 8 of those, correct?
Yes, 9 including the city.
And then this little graph, I was confused because on the wastewater improvement, are we the total developer, the way the graph was, I didn't know.
On the development agreement?
Yeah, I
So,
thought.
yeah, on the development agreement, that's another agenda item, but it's part of the project plan. So the wastewater improvements that will be needed for their contribution, which is insignificant overall to they would be 100% responsible for. So if they were to come online in 3 to 4 years, their sanitary sewer, because they're such a little water user, has no impact. So of our $45+ million in sewer needs, we've estimated the extension of whatever we would need to facilitate them to be about $1.9 million. If the project's approved and the development agreements, they will put that money in escrow. We will utilize those dollars if and when we build that improvement. It's based on a percentage of the overall impact, so it's a cost of what those needs were, Counselor. And then I think on that particular project, I think their percentage of impact was 0.07 or 1 point something. It was a very small percentage of a very large project.
I did see that there's concern for I know that they've been saying that there's possible other sources for energy being done around there. But per this, there's on-site generation, we have something in there about that.
Yes, ma'am. So the on-site generation and the development agreement and all of the other documents, if this were to move forward, restrict them. Their on-site generation is only their backup generators.
Yes.
So there is no on-site generation by the project. All of their firm power and supplemental supply power will transmit through the substation. This 30-year agreement and the development agreement does not allow them to build anything on site. I still don't know where this gas generation, that is non-existent. That is non-existent. There's no gas generation plant or anything. They are required, if this moves forward, to buy electricity from the city of Claremore for at least the next 30 years with 10-year renewal options.
And I have had constituents reach out to me about delaying it due to the refresh periods because to make sure that we don't incur any cost to the citizens, because that's going before the government.
The refresh periods.
like to.
When the data centers refresh, is that what you're talking about?
So when their useful cycle is up and they have to go and replace all the servers and
refresh.
things like that.
We have no cost associated. That's 100% on the developer or end user. We would have no participation in that.
Yeah, that's only, all that would do is upgrade their internal personal property.
I just didn't know why they would be bringing that before the government with that concern. It was in the news, that's why I say that.
I guess I don't understand the context, Counselor. I don't know what you're referencing.
I did research some of the paperwork that everybody has given us, and I do feel like we did do some changes back in May of last year. So I just want to let you know that I feel responsible for that not being addressed, completely understanding what we were doing at that time. But as far as the very first meeting that we've had, it was not a meeting to get them to change their presentation. The truth is, they came to present the day before. You guys saw it, and it changed like the diagram of what you guys are seeing, because they're negotiating all those details. So you guys can believe what you choose to believe, but that's the truth from my perspective. So that's just how I feel about it. So
I had a constituent that had a question regarding, I don't know how much of this is understanding of how a TID works, so maybe you can speak specifically to how a TID works, but their question was related to, are there any ad valorem tax reimbursements that would be going to Beal?
No, this is purely an tax exemption. When an incentive district becomes effectuated, there will be an existing valuation of the property. It's probably going to be relatively small because there's not really anything on the site right now. But that value is going to continue to be assessed taxes. And moving forward, it's only their new investment on property that qualifies specifically for that North American Industrial Classification System code for data center projects. So if they have another user or anything like that, their property would not be subject to the exception.
Right, and one of the examples that I've used in explaining how a TID works, and correct this if I'm incorrect, but in exchange or instead of being charged property taxes based on the amount of money put into the property, there are payments in lieu of taxes that are negotiated between the 8 different taxing entities.
Yes, and that is not technically part of the incentive district. That's a contractual obligation that's part of the tax incentive. That was one of the things that the taxing jurisdictions required in order for them to sign off on the inclusion of the levies.
Right. So for instance, to use an analogy, if I have a piece of property and I want to compensate a realtor a 6% commission for an average house in an average neighborhood, you have an average percentage-based commission. Sometimes you have unique properties where the commission to open up the door, and I'm going to insult some realtors, but open up the door and show the house. I don't mean to minimize that. Very familiar with how much work a realtor will do to show a property. Sometimes you have unique properties where the value of the property is very, very large, and so in lieu of that 6% commission, they will negotiate a flat fee. And so I've used that analogy to explain that in lieu of property taxes for a very large investment, we have a negotiated fee structure to the taxing entities.
It's a very good analogy.
And we're not the ones who negotiate. You say we, it's actually the client and the entities.
Right, the taxing entities, of which are primarily schools,
EMS,
Fair Board, mental health.
there was 2 other things inside the 400 and something pages. Every year, Bill will give some back to community for City of Claremore, an amount for how long, just to clarify that for the people.
There's part of it, because the cities in Oklahoma do not get property taxes unless they pass a general obligation bond or there's an unfunded judgment. So cities do not have ad valorem dollars. So while these other entities may receive ad valorem dollars, we don't. The benefit to us is through the sale of the utility, but we also asked for a $250,000 annual payment for the life of the project for economic development purposes. If there's a retail people that we're trying to track down and we need to go spend some money to extend to them. We're very careful with how we deal with economic development on retail, small restaurants, all of those other things. Because we got offered a couple years ago for what's the burger place that everybody loves? There was one in Owasso for a while. I don't remember. Anyway, and they said we want to bring one over, but they want they want $250,000. I know, well, we didn't give $250,000 to the other 15 hamburger restaurants, to Buddy's, to Hammett House. So we don't do those types of things. But if there's infrastructure involved with something, if we looked at the possibility of developing something on the south side of town along 66, like an old, large, big box store, we might need to put some money into that to do some things for the infrastructure to upgrade it. And so that's the difference in those, counselors. So there is that. And part of the development agreement as well, if it were to be impacted, is that Beal would deposit $2.5 million on deposit with the city of Claremore, and 1 year later, an additional $2.5 million that this council, but we could use for some quality of life, like our Parks Master Plan that we've been working on and trying to roll out. So there would be some options there. Because we're always in such a fight to improve infrastructure, we don't get to spend a lot on quality of life amenities. We just don't have those opportunities. We've been fortunate through grants, partnerships with the Cherokee Nation, and some other things to do some things, but this would be something that could really help. So there's that aspect of it too.
So there's the $5 million, and then in addition to
$250,000 a year would be for, I want to say it's 25 or 30 year. It's the life of the tax incentive agreement, just as it is with the other entities.
And those funds would be budgeted, and you guys...
Yeah, you all would decide where those go. And then I think that I wanted to make some things clear. They had some information up there, just because I think this is what people need to understand, and you know, trying to be objective in my dealings and disseminating information. Because of our archaic funding method in the state, where we're the only state that funds cities and towns the way we do, you've all heard me talk about this, is that we're looking for opportunities to boost revenue without boosting taxes and raising utility rates. And that's essentially how we've structured this deal. So they had some phase 1 projections up there. Despite what some people online claim to know when they don't, that we actually do get sales tax from industrial electricity sales. So while residential customers do not pay sales tax in the state of Oklahoma, industrial customers do. There are some exemptions in traditional manufacturing if they produce a fixed asset. These applications are not eligible. So regardless of whether it's Beal or the end user. So through the sale of electricity plus the sales tax that would be applied to that, if and when in say year 5 through 6, if they were up operating at their, and I've got milestones, I sent you all this, it's a public document, we're not hiding it. I think I sent it to you this last week, or what is today, Monday, last week sometimes. So let's say in 2032, they get ramped up to their full use, firm power, supplemental supply, supplemental power. We'll be looking at between $15 and $16 million a year in increased revenue on the sale of electricity, plus the sales tax collection. Put that into perspective, about 2 fiscal years ago, our entire sales tax collection was about $15 or $16 million. Again, guarantees in multiple development agreements, the other documents that you've been provided. There will be no rate increases because of this. There will be no water rate increases. There's no increased sales tax needs. So that's where the benefit is, because we don't get property taxes.
When I started serving on this council, it's probably been 6 years, I don't know. John is a huge dreamer, and he does dream of making huge improvements to our town so that your next generations can enjoy a nice life. Our job as the council is to say yes or no to things. So when you guys start attacking the workers, you guys need to be talking to us. And if you try, that's fine. But I've sat down with multiple people. I've driven down to Red Oak where they said one of these data centers are. It wasn't as scary as people make it out to be. That being said, we are doing our best to represent you guys as a whole in the best interest of the city. So I would just like to say that.
Is it my turn?
It's whoever, that's the mayor's meeting, ma'am.
I have a few questions first, and then statements. Just so that everyone is clear, the TID is not a TIF, because those are very, very different. And I understand people think that this is gonna cost us money or the citizens money or anybody money, and it will not. They are, in lieu of property tax, they've negotiated the entities who would normally get that money, they've negotiated a special amount of money, and all 8 entities, if I remember correctly, had to agree. If any entity had said no, then the TID does not happen, correct?
We would not be able to include their levy as part of the exemption.
Okay, so, and all 8 entities, their board of directors all agreed to this settlement or this agreement that they made with this client, and with a unanimous vote. So that clearly states that they're okay with it. I mean, it's not part of the city because we don't get property tax. So that's something that people really need to understand. And if, let's say 5 years after they've opened up, they go out of business, then there's no obligation for those payments anymore, because basically then that ends that contract, correct?
Correct.
I just want to make sure I understand that.
The remedy at that point, if they're no
just
longer
done.
operating under that specific industry code, is that the city can terminate the incentive district.
Okay, and then we don't pay for it, you guys don't pay for it. So really, none of us are affected by this. It's an agreement between the client and those who would have received property tax. Is that a pretty simple way of saying
The
it?
city is a party to that incentive agreement as well.
Right.
That's where the community betterment payment obligation comes from. But yes, there would not be any additional cost in the city.
Let me see if that's all my questions. Okay, I think that clears it up. I just want everyone to really understand what this is. This part of it is. We have a couple of agenda items for this, but what this specific agenda item is about. I'm sorry, Miss Holly.
It's okay.
Bless her heart. Go ahead.
You're on.
Thank you. I want to read a statement I wrote over the weekend for the public. Over the past several weeks, I have heard directly from many Claremore residents by walking door to door in my own ward. The overwhelming consensus of those residents is that they wanted what was best for Claremore and trusted me to make the right decision, which I've done by discernment, prayer, and hearing all sides. I appreciate those who took the time to respectfully talk to me and ask important and thoughtful questions about Project Mustang. These questions had centered several key areas. What will the facility's electric and water usage look like, and how will that impact our existing infrastructure? What sound levels can nearby residents expect, and what deterrence or mitigation measures will be in place? What environmental impacts could arise, and what safeguards are being required to protect our community? And how will this project affect utility rates? What costs, if any, will be passed on to the residents versus borne to the developer? I want the public to know that these questions were not only valid, they were necessary. I also want to acknowledge that through the review process, these concerns were addressed by the developer and the city. This due diligence was one part of my decision-making process. At the same time, I believe it is equally important to be transparent in broader concerns that extend beyond the specifics of this one project. The way this project was introduced to the public did not meet the level of upfront communication that I believe our community expects and deserves. Large-scale projects supported by public mechanisms like a TED should be accompanied by early proactive engagement and clear information from the very beginning of a project. While efforts have been made to answer questions and provide details, the delayed communication rollout created concern, and for some residents, a sense of being left in the dark and questioning this council. Rebuilding and maintaining public trust require consistency in how we communicate, not just in substance, but in timing. I recognize that this project represents a significant economic development opportunity for Claremore. After weighing both the process concerns and the answers provided, I believe it is possible to both acknowledge there are improvements that need transparency and communication, while also continuing to look for growth opportunities that will be long-term benefit to our citizens and city. The decision is not an easy one, and it has weighed heavy on me. And you have no idea, my family's heard me night after night. I pray heavily on this decision. No matter how I vote this evening, there will be citizens upset on either side. I'm just one person who cares for the citizens of Claremore and wants to support them. I remain committed to ensuring that future projects are brought forward with great clarity, earlier public engagement, and level of transparency that our residents rightfully expect and deserve. I wanted to read that before tonight's vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that some of the citizens said we could delay it. Does anybody else feel like that might be beneficial for a couple of months to delay the vote?
I agree.
Some of the communication regarding water supply and wastewater treatment, are there any changes or modifications, if any, that are necessary on the city's infrastructure side? I understand that Beal's paying for it if there are any, but I had a constituent ask what changes to our existing water supply and water treatment infrastructure are necessary to support the plant. Well, given the statement that I understand, if any changes are needed, Beal would be paying for them.
Yeah, so there's no needed change for the treatment plant or the distribution. So if you're familiar with the industrial park, there's Cedar Boulevard and there's John Carl Boulevard. So the water line goes up Cedar Boulevard and wraps around. There is about a 1,900-foot extension from Lowry up to the north to tie into that to create what we call a loop for redundancy. I want to say, I can't remember the dollar amount, but those dollars would be paid by Beal to the city, and that project would be done by the city as far as we would bid it out like we normally would, but it would be 100% funded by Beal.
I just want to make a motion to delay the vote on this until after the state makes a decision on the refresh periods of the data centers.
I'd like to say something before we have a vote on that, since there's no second yet. Is that okay? Okay. It's too late now.
Okay.
So I've lived in this city for over 40 years of my life, and never once in those 40 years have I ever been questioned on my integrity or the fact that I might be stealing or robbing from the citizens of this town or this county or this state. It's really sickening that the number of people online, where a lot of you have even acknowledged you're getting your information from, is online, from Facebook, from all these people that are bringing in this information. You're accusing us of stealing. Go look at my house. Go look at my vehicles. Don't accuse me of stealing. I work hard for everything I've got, and I'm sure as heck not getting anything out of any of this stuff. I get, as a contractor, which is what I do for a living, I purposefully have to avoid any communication with the city on any jobs. I don't get to bid on any city job. I don't even get that. There is no good old boy system. There's none of that garbage. And I'm really sick of this whole thing, and the people in this community, they're supposed to be our friends and our Christian neighbors, sitting here calling us thieves. You have no proof. None of you do. Not one single one of you has any proof of anyone on this board doing anything illegal. Not any of these city councilors sitting here that were voted by you, which is a whole nother thing. This whole thing about you're the government, this and that, yada, yada, yada. You voted for us to make these decisions. You asked us to represent you to make decisions, and we have been doing that. We come here, and like Lindsay said numerous times, 400 plus pages, that's a typical agenda for us to have to go through that stuff. So a lot of that's frustrating. It's also frustrating for me, though, to know people that I've known for 40 years in this town, and I listen to some of you talk, and I listen to you ignoring facts. Ignoring. We've been told so many times recently that you think we're telling you something, we're lying to you. You ask us for a question, we give you an answer. There's going to be 20,000 gallons of water for this air-cooled, sealed system data center. Not 1 million gallons, but so many people keep bringing that up. Millions of gallons, millions of gallons. The contract that we have seen from Beal to build this data center includes saying that they will not use more than, we're asking for 50,000 as a top end, but they're asking for 20,000 gallons. That is 2 McDonald's, people. It's 2 McDonald's. It's less than the 50,000 gallons they need for a car wash. You ask us a question, and then we give you the answer, and you look at us and tell us that we're lying to you. We've done the research. I talked to a guy from Oregon that sat there and was on a city council, and then he was also involved in data centers. He watched his town grow from dead last in education to the very top of the state. There have been numerous discussions, and people have talked about your property value going down. When I Google search for property values around data centers, there was an article came out recently in the Tulsa World about this. A guy moved from Tennessee and said this. The property values in the data around the data centers are going up. They're going up. If I can get on Google and I see the first 2 pages of property values going up, it's really hard for me to sit here with you telling me that you saw something on Facebook that says your property's going to go down. You're going to lose all your property value when I can't verify that by anything I've read. Calling the trade unions bootlickers is disgusting. It's just as bad as calling people thieves. That is not Christian neighborly behavior. Some of that just isn't being addressed around here. One of the probably the biggest problem I have with this whole thing is the timing of this, talking about how fast this is, wanting to delay this. It was brought up twice to talk about delaying it because we don't have any data to support this stuff. Does anyone know when Google started their data center in Pryor?
20 years ago.
2011 was when they kicked it on. That's 15 years. We got 15 years of data.
What's the cancer in Pryor?
I don't know, good question, but let me keep going because it's my time. So, in the whole time that we've been discussing this, not one person from this community has brought a single family member, friend, person they've met, anybody from Pryor to tell me they have medical problems from this, they work there, they can't stand it, none of that. I've talked to 3 people that do work in there, and they all said there's nothing wrong with them. They don't notice anything. The Cherokee Data Center, does anybody know about that? Does anybody know? Cherokee Data Center is in Tulsa, 7400 North Lakewood Avenue. It's been in business since 2001. Tier Point is another data center. Tier Point has been in downtown Tulsa since 2011. I have personally walked in the Tier Point data center 10 years ago to do some contracting work in there. It did not affect me physically. It was just one instance. But all this talk about we have no data, we need to hold off. How long are we going to hold off? 15 years data from Google being over there. Yes, they're a water-cooled facility. We are not asking for a water-cooled facility. We're not contracting. We are not in negotiations for a water-cooled facility. We are in negotiations for an air-cooled facility. Okay? 15 years. 20 years for the Cherokee Data Center. 15 years for Tier Point. There are 5 data centers in Tulsa that are in operation, have been in operation. Okay? There is decades of information here. These data centers aren't new. The scope of this data center might be larger, but this entire argument is based off people sharing information that isn't true. You can't sit here and tell me about data centers causing all these medical problems when I just gave you 3 of them in the area that have been for over 15 years, 20 years. We're not hearing of this stuff.
Mr. Calendar, or anybody else have anything?
I'm not done. I am not finished.
I apologize.
Okay.
That wasn't Christian-like.
I didn't say I had to be either.
Okay, guys, let's keep it calm, let him finish.
Yeah. I don't have any problem living over there. My house isn't very nice though. It's a very small house. But if you got a better house and you want to trade me cash value and take over my little house for yours, we might talk about that someday. The Andes and the Chick-fil-A things, talking about the NDAs. NDAs, what John did on the NDA, what Maggie, all the talk about NDAs, It's about having discussions before you present something so you have a clue about what you're talking about. Okay? The tax incentive district, other tax incentive districts, Baker Hughes, we have one right here, and it worked. We have numerous tax incentive districts in the city that worked. We have gone through audit after audit after audit. There has been stuff online about financial impropriety of this city, and every time, it has always been positive. Every time. And I think the problem here is, we've got people attacking John. Him and Maggie did so, his wife. You guys even know where that project is they're talking about? It's not in the city of Owasso, not in the city limits. But attacking them over this, it's just ridiculous. Like I said, 20 years of information we have. And we're wanting to push it off even longer and even longer. I don't see the value in pushing things off like that. When we do have experience, or when we do have data, okay? It's just, there's no pollution out of this thing. You guys, I keep hearing that too, pollution. Let's talk about pollution. A sealed system is like the air conditioner of your car. Freon stays inside the system. The air blows across it. This is a different type, it's water, but it is blowing over it. The environmental pollution people that are talking about what can come off of a degassing or the evaporation on evaporative coolers, they're talking about water coolers that have fins and stuff, and that stuff gets stuck on there and then evaporates off. This isn't the same type of system. Again, you asked the question, we gave the answer, and then you said you didn't like the answer, you don't like us, or you think we're lying. It's just sheep.
Is it ammonia cooled or refrigerant or what?
Huh?
Is it ammonia system, a refrigerant system?
That's a question you can ask the developer.
The point is, this is a sealed system. There's
when it leaks.
No, we're not just, the point is, it's a sealed system. Environmental leaks, whatever happens, none of it has anything to do with anything.
We don't want to do Q&A.
No, you're fine. If you have questions.
Do you have
for the
anything else to
developer
say?
about that.
What's the system? What's in the system? Water and polyethylene.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not an engineer, so I have to write these down so I can have them. But it's, there's corrosion inhibitors, polypylene, glycol. We can use substitutes for those. But yes, those stay in the system. It is a closed loop system. It's not leaked out anywhere. It doesn't go into the ground. It's not touching any sort of stormwater management. And it remains within it, just like your car. Yeah, very similar to what's used in hospitals and other large industrial facilities.
And much less toxic than eating the coolant that's in your car.
Yes, don't eat the coolant in your car. Yeah.
But the other thing is, this data center is a box to hold computers. You all have computers in your homes. That's what it is. It's a box and it holds a bunch of computers, a bunch more. But the contract we've looked at shows that they're paying for everything. They're paying for all their changes when they have to upgrade. They're paying for everything. This city administration has done a great job to protect this city. They have made sure that the contract we signed says they are covering everything. They are doing this, they're doing that. We've talked about the DEQ. We can't fix problems with environmental if there's an accident. That's what the DEQ is for. That's what state and federal and local, all those people are for. But this administration, what John has done is to protect this city, but also to see us progress and to have money to do things. This data center is probably the least environmentally impactful decision in that industrial park that could have been there. The amount of stuff coming out of that thing will be so much less than anything else we could, that can legally go in there without a vote of any kind. But keep in mind, this data center, this entire hype, this fight, all this stuff we're doing right now has happened in the last 6 months to a year. It's all over Facebook, it's all over the internet. Yet we've had data centers for 20 years and this stuff wasn't brought up before, and it hasn't been thought about since. So why is that happening, people? Why have we had data centers in Tulsa for 20 years, and only now we're gonna have an argument about it? That's all I have to say.
Okay. Now my statement. I have a statement. I actually was going to read my statement on the next agenda item, but since Ms. Irwin brought her thing up, I'm just going to read my statement now. I want our community to know that when this proposal first came forward, I approached it by listening, asking questions, and trying to understand all sides of the project. Over the past few months, I have spoken with literally hundreds of residents on both sides, in neighborhoods, restaurants, and through everyday conversations across our community. My goal has always been to better understand the concerns, perspectives, and hopes of the people we serve. What became clear to me is that our community has not yet reached a shared understanding or consensus. Many residents still have important questions and want a better understanding about the long-term impacts, resources, and potentially the benefits that this development could ultimately mean for Claremore's future. Those questions deserve thoughtful answers and continued discussions. Claremore is strongest when we move forward together. When an issue remains this divided, I believe it is important to take the time necessary so citizens feel informed, heard, and confident in the direction taken, even though we might not all agree. For that reason, now this, like I said, this was for the next agenda item, my vote will reflect as such, not as a rejection of the opportunity, but as a recognition that our community needs more time, more clarity, more dialogue, and more unity before moving forward with a decision of this magnitude. I sincerely appreciate everyone who has participated in the process, regardless of your position, and I am hopeful and optimistic about the future of our community.
I was raised in Rogers County in Chelsea and moved away for college. When I got married, I lived in Tulsa. When we started having kids, I moved back here. This is a great place to raise a family. We bought our house in Westwood, and a few years after, a friend of mine, Brian Green, decided to build a lot of duplexes and starter homes. My neighborhood was against it. We didn't want it. It was going to be unsafe. It was going to devalue our homes. All the worst case scenarios with too much traffic. The city council at the time voted for it. I remained friends with Brian Green. I believe it was him that developed it. I'm going to throw him under the bus anyway. And a few years later, we bought our second home in Westwood, because all the fears we had of how terrible these starter homes and duplexes were going to be to our neighborhood didn't happen. Fear is a powerful thing. We need to base our decisions on the facts. We've been working on this project for 2 years. The information we have is not going to change if we table it. We have made these, John has made these contracts with Bill to the state standards. So regardless of what the state law passes, we are still going to meet those standards. So I can't vote to extend this because the people I talk to who want to know the facts, when I tell them the facts, they appreciate this project coming to Claremore. Those people who send me emails who don't want to have a conversation, we're not going to change their minds. So I can't vote to extend this. I appreciate your willingness to take that step. The city has done everything with character. We've done everything legally. Maybe we could communicate things differently. We did what we felt like we needed to do at the time. All this information has been on the city website for a long time. It's not new news to anybody. but yet we still hear, we're gonna use a ton of water, we're gonna put a lot of pollution. The things that aren't facts, we're not gonna change people's minds. So the motion and second has been made, but it's time to vote on this.
Any other discussion?
The only thing I was going to say is a couple of things. Every constituent that's reached out to me directly, and there have been a number of them, I have encouraged all of them to have a dialogue with me. Like, let's have a conversation, whether you want to meet in person, you want to meet on the phone. There's a lot of questions you have. Let's answer them. Every single person, without exception, that has gone and met with me and they've gone over the facts, answered their questions, has been for this project, without exception. I've had a number of people email me that refuse to talk to me for whatever their reasons are. Those are generally people that either have an agenda or they cannot handle a discourse where facts are out of alignment with their understanding of how things work. So I can't convince somebody that is a not in my backyard person of the benefit of a project when it's in their backyard. It's not their land, but it's also their backyard. It's synonymous with somebody buying a house in the middle of a development. It's at the end of the neighborhood with amazing views of fields and deer, but then the development continues and now there's a house in their backyard. I understand the argument, but there's nothing that I can say to make that person not have something in their backyard, but it's not their land. I can't control a private citizen, what they do with their land. So I don't have any good answers for that person. But I'm also not going to penalize the rest of the community for somebody that doesn't want something in their backyard. It's a disingenuous argument. The other argument comes from a very spiritually minded group of people that don't like how fast our community is basing information on the internet and on automated intelligence. I don't disagree with a lot of those arguments. One of the things on this data center is it's not an AI data center. We're not sticking a bunch of GPUs with a large language model that's going to consume a lot of electricity. This is a generic, boring housing of hard drives for data streaming. Think of like Amazon Video, Facebook Reels. It's streaming, it's data storage. If it was an AI learning center, you would see the electrical use increased due to the amount of power that GPUs require. And it's not that. The third group of people that reach out to me consistently are the conspiracies everywhere people. Again, I don't disagree with a very concerned electorate holding government accountable. I'm literally one of those people. I guarantee you, absent this issue, all of these people that reach out to me, we would literally agree on every single thing. The government is too big. I don't like property taxes. You get me on a soapbox on taxes, there are only 3 ways to tax. You can tax income, you can tax consumption, and you can tax property. Taxing somebody's income, taxing somebody's property, in my opinion, is tantamount to theft. The only moral way to tax somebody is through consumption, which is why I like the fair tax as a national and retail sales tax. John is hamstringed by our Oklahoma Constitution, which says municipalities can't derive income from property taxes. It makes his job harder. I understand and I feel that when it comes to budgets, we have only so much money. So when a business comes to town with a project so incredibly outside the norm, it's very, very large. I like to use analogies for the same reason Jesus liked to use parables. It makes it simple. Not equating myself to Jesus. Don't want that headline up there. But if you go and get a $30 steak, a waitress or a waiter is going to bring you that steak. You give them a 20% tip. 20% of $30. Let me check my math. That's $6. Okay? You go get a $300 steak. That waiter or waitress brings you that steak. great service. Fill up your water glass. Give them a 20% tip on a $300 steak. Now they got $60. Maybe you go to a really nice place and get a $3,000 steak. 20%. Here's your steak, fill your water glass. If somebody brings you a $3 billion steak, are you going to give that tip that waiter or waitress $600 million for filling up your water glass, giving you your steak? Thank you for your service. Thank you for coming and dining at our restaurant. Likewise, if you sell a house, Elvis lived there. President Lincoln lived there. It's a unique property, wildly more valuable than your average property. It's going to command a sales price wildly outside the norm. You're not going to pay the realtor 6%. You're going to negotiate a flat fee in lieu of 6%, which is what a TID does. When a business comes to town, it's wildly larger than your typical business that would be put there, which is where the bargaining power of, in lieu of taxes that would go to these taxing entities, how much money do you need? They negotiate that. It's not my job to get in the way of things that they've already negotiated, that they've already agreed upon. By the way, those meetings are also public. Your beef with the school board that agreed to these payments in lieu of taxes, that is the best venue if you live in that school board district, or if you live in that county commissioner district. You're asking us to bypass what other people have already agreed to that are very well informed in the process. I have yet to have an argument presented to a incredibly conservative Christian that allows me to limit what a private person can do with their land and can limit what people have freely and without coercion agreed upon within these 8 taxing entities. If that makes sense.
Say one more thing. Brian and Justin and I were on the city council during COVID. That was a fun time.
I didn't make it any more fun.
You what?
I didn't make it any more fun. I'm sorry.
No. We vehemently disagreed on the mask mandate. And I can tell you, I had a lot less information at that point in time to make my decision than I do today. We made the best decision with the information we have. That's why we get paid $50 a meeting. It's big bucks. We don't get paid for somebody else to make tough decisions. We have the information. I'm not trying to tell you how to vote, but waiting is not going to give us more information. For 2 years, we've looked at this.
It's also not going to change the information. We looked at it for 2 years, and the questions that keep getting presented to us aren't changing. The answers to those questions are also not going to change.
This vote is hard, and I will respect each one of you no matter how you vote. Because I know you know the information. You put in the long hours, you put in the work. And I will make some people mad, I understand that. I'm not here to make everybody happy. My job is to do what's best for the city of Claremore with the information I have. So that's what I will be voting on tonight.
So I think my perspective is just a little different because when I said I've talked to literally hundreds of people the last few months, I literally have talked to hundreds of people in this community. And the people I've talked to that brought up the data center to me aren't in this room, they're not standing outside, they're not posting on Facebook, they're not sending me emails. These were conversations I had on the doorstep, talking to them. They bring up the data center, they find out that I'm the mayor, and they go, oh, can we talk about the data center? Sure. And what I found, vast majority of them wanted to have a pause. Can you just hold off and let us learn more, understand more? And I get it, it's been on the website, I get all that. But the average Joe citizen out there feels like it's kind of been dumped in their lap a couple of months ago. And I know how it was done in the beginning wasn't something that any of us wanted. I think we all agree to that. So for me, I have to listen to them because that is a large percentage, and it's not the people on Facebook, it's not the people here or outside. This is people not even here right now. So I understand wanting a pause. The outcome might be the same. We still might agree to a data center, but at least they had the pause and the time to understand more. That's just where I'm coming from.
I understand, they're not the ones voting on this. You are.
Right.
You have the information, we're not trying to convince the public. So
But
my
I'm here
question is-
to represent the citizens.
Well, I want, since we're representing citizens, I want to make sure everyone here and at home is all clear. When she says she's been knocking on doors, that's for her job she wants as a state.
No, we're not doing that.
No.
We're not doing that.
I didn't bring that up, and no,
It's not
no.
your first time. Hey,
She's at least concerned with the citizens.
we're all making a vote here. We're all.
You're a man and she has more committees than you, bro.
I've called people, I've Facebook people, and people honestly don't have a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It's like when you reach out, when I personally reach out to the citizens, they don't have all the information. They're not researching the information besides Facebook. It's not a fair representation of what we are receiving and trying to tell everybody else. So, yes, John has put a lot of hours. Maggie has put a lot, they have put so much ahead of this, and that should not be like taken for granted. They've done so much work. So instead of looking at it as a negative, we're just trying to make sure that we do our best to give you all of the data as well. That's how I feel about it. I mean, we want you to be informed.
So we have a motion on the, can you read back the motion, please?
I have motion to delay the vote until after the state makes a decision on the refresh period for data centers. That's what Lindsay had said.
I know, and it may not be the best. I know that
That's
there
probably
was,
not the best.
I know, I don't know how to say it, but I do
Delay.
know
I
it
think
was
Mr. Saban has.
presented
Yeah.
I saw it on the news.
There was a state bill filed 1488 that proposed a moratorium, but it failed to advance the session.
So was that with a moratorium for all of them?
That was a moratorium for the entire state for a period of years and directed a series of studies to be made about long-term impacts.
How old was that one? Was that pretty
That was
recent?
filed this January.
No, this one.
So
one
Counselor,
was-
there were multiple data center bills filed this last legislative session.
Yeah.
There was one that was passed and signed into law by Representative Brad Bowles, which is House Bill 2992, which we frankly were supportive of. It's protection of the ratepayers. So essentially says that the developers will pay all of their costs, the ratepayers cannot be affected, all of these things. No other bill associated with data centers left the state legislature this last year. They're either laid over, or this is the end of this session, or they're just dead. They didn't get out of committee. So Representative Bowles's bill, which we liked, and was co-sponsored by multiple representatives and senators, was a bill that frankly, we started putting this project together under the direction of this council as we started talking about this 2 years ago to make sure that our taxpayers and our ratepayers were never affected and harmed. That's what that bill did. You could have written that bill modeled off how we put this structure together.
How long is a typical TID district?
They're 5 years, except in 2023, 2023, I think, the state legislature made an exemption and extended it for data centers to 25 years because, yes, the way they used to do exempt manufacturing, and frankly for Google, that the state used to foot the bill for that. So the state would have to step in and pay the property taxes to, that's a TIF, or the way, or exempt manufacturing. So the state legislature said, hey, that's a lot of money, which it is. We don't want to do that again. So if they're going into areas like this, where there's industrial zone land and it's not generating any property taxes, then they say, let's give them an abatement. If it's not producing anything now, then give them an abatement, extend that out, and let them develop a pilot program. So that's why the Google facility, while it's been a huge benefit to the school district, but the state legislature.
A general TID district is 5 years. the state legislators decided that a data center could get up to 25 years.
Yes.
And the reason for that, I would assume, is because the state wanted to attract data centers to Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So, the state has a separate statewide incentive program for certain manufacturing operations that gives them a 5-year exemption on real and personal property. Data centers up until 2022 used to be eligible for that 5-year exemption. And as part of that 5-year exemption, with the 5-year effective life of a lot of their personal property, that basically turned into a continuous tax exemption on all of the personal property for data centers in perpetuity. The state had a reimbursement fund, basically, to where any of the taxes that were subject to that exemption, they would pay out of the state fund to the taxing entities whose bills were being impacted by having those exemptions be applicable. After the data center project and prior started at Mid-America, that was the first hyperscale data center project in the state. First year of the repayments on that, the state realized that they were going to go bankrupt if they continued to operate under that program. So as part of a negotiated settlement with the industry, they introduced this legislation that removed data center projects from eligibility under that 5-year manufacturing exemption and increased the ability of local governments to do an incentive district instead for a period of 25 years.
Thank you.
And the beauty of that, Ted, is the state isn't paying reimbursement payments back to fund those
And neither are the county or the city.
Or the county or the city.
So did we go over 2992? You said
That's what I said. That's Fred Bowles' bill, 2992. And you'll notice the stipulations that are in there. Protection of ratepayers. They have to cover all the costs. There's a weird provision in there that says after they close on the land, they're required, like within 60 days, to notify the. And it's also, there were some different iterations and amendments in there specific that didn't make it through the process about even exempting cities if they were in the city limits. But that bill is a good bill. We supported it.
But it's not gone through yet.
It's
right?
signed into law by the governor.
Oh, when did that happen? Because this is.
It will take effect in July, but he signed it into law a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, early May.
Maybe that's why, because I heard it.
Yeah, so without an emergency clause, they'll take effect in July. But that doesn't have, that bill essentially does what this project would do if it's approved. We set that project up, and I will say this, because, specifically I'm allowed to participate, I don't vote, which is a good thing. One, I want to thank all of you. I've known from the beginning, we've had these conversations for close to 2 years, that these are tough decisions to make. Thank you to citizens that have been respectful. Thank you to those that have acknowledged what's going on here. This is not something that I've taken lightly. I'm in my 23rd year of public service. I've never done anything where I've taken a dime, I've done something against the law, I've broken the law, and I won't. I've told you all from the beginning that we're here, and I've told people, citizens to their face, none of you are worth lying to. This is my job, public service. It's my credibility. It's the only way I get another job if you all decide that I don't need to work here anymore. So to those out there that say those things, you're entitled to your opinion. I have pretty tough skin. Been dealing with it for a long time. But I have a family. You all have families. So regardless of how this vote goes, and I will tell you, just like I did in my email, I cannot in good conscience recommend that you do not pass this, because I've been doing city business for a long time, and I understand and see opportunities that we rarely get. No increases in electric or water rates, no increases in taxes to anybody, and a revenue stream that allows us to go out and fix all the things that the same people who are criticizing this have been griping at us about not being able to fix because we have an antiquated revenue source. Bottom line, that's all I can say. From my heart, I want what's best for this community. I live here. My kid graduated high school here. He just graduated college from here. I don't ever want to leave. But if I do, I do. And if for some reason, and I will tell you right now, a tabling of this vote from time-wise and standards and things that is detrimental, which is what many people here want. It's not going to change the information to your credit counselor. Nothing about this is going to change, other than that the cost to construct is going to get more expensive. That's essentially it. So I truly believe, and this is not something that Beal or anybody else has told me, which is what some people here want, that if you delay this, it's dead. There's no bringing it back. Okay, there's other markets that, despite what we've been told, will take these projects up. So they will end up here domestically somewhere in the United States with a domestically owned Magnificent 7 end user, and some other community will benefit greatly from that. We're a rarity. We have an opportunity as a public power provider to benefit more than anybody else. And I think if you were to have a public or side conversation from the development team, everybody there would tell you that I have been a hard ass on this on behalf of this community. Absolutely. To the point that in December, it was almost a, hey, if we can't come to a conclusion on rates and this is the structure we want, hey, been nice visiting with you. They've been fantastic. They've been above board. They haven't lied to us. But I have been hard on that team. I've been hard on the GRDA team. Because that's what you all expect of us, is to fight for the taxpayers and for the citizens. I'm not making any more money whether the project comes to fruition or not. That's the bottom line.
Lisa, I'm gonna change my motion.
You want to amend it?
Yeah, I want to take it off the table.
And I won't second.
I always come to every meeting saying I'm not gonna make decisions until everything is heard, so I say we take a vote on this. Motion to decide.
You have
To
to make
approve or
a,
disapprove?
Motion
To approve.
Second.
And this is a motion to approve the TID. And then we have another agenda item.
Yeah, we're on number.
you'll need to read
Read the full item.
Just read the full item on number 7.
Full item that the motion is regarding.
Discussion of possible action on ordinance number 2026-11 for the Mustang Data Center Economic Development Project Plan and supporting incentive districts, City of Claremore pursuant to the Oklahoma Local Development Act, identifying and establishing 3 incentive districts temporarily identified in the project plan as incentive districts A, B, and C, designating and adopting project area and incentive district boundaries, deferring numerical designations and effective dates for the incentive districts, adopting certain findings, authorizing the City of Claremore and the Claremore Industrial and Economic Development Authority as the entities to carry out and administer the project plan, ratifying and confirming the actions, recommendations, and findings of the review committee and the Claremore-Rogers County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission, approving and adopting a tax incentive agreement and providing for repealer? Providing for severability.
It's in there.
So this is for the TID, because we still have another agenda item.
So
That's what
this
the motion
approves
is.
the
Right.
project plan, establishes the
For the TID.
incentive districts, and approves the tax incentive agreement required by the local development.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Irwin?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Cottom?
No.
Feldman?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Calendar?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Volpe?
No.
And Long.
On this item, yes. Item number 8, discussion and possible action on the development agreement with Mustang Tulsa Holdings, LLC.
So the development agreement, council, is the agreement that talks about, sorry, gotta get to my pages here, lays out specifically more for the infrastructure and development thereof. So this is where you referenced the water, the wastewater, the title, the zoning, all of the notices that are required, the procurement of funds for the extension of water and wastewater services. It also references in there, because it's in site development, this agreement essentially states that the developer is 100% responsible for all transportation infrastructure, water infrastructure, sanitary sewer infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure, and references specifically the RESA and the subsequent tariffs, if considered and approved, that they are 100% responsible for the all electric infrastructure. So both the mainline transmission upgrades as well as the substation upgrades. This also establishes the $250,000 a year payment that was referenced, as well as the $2.5 million payments that can be used for quality of life. I can tell you that our contract attorney, Eric Nelson with RFR, has earned his keep. I can assure you of this, that every fail-safe that we could put in place, from assignment to severability to everything, has been put into all of these contracts. We will discuss later, even all the way down to letters of credit, cash deposits. There are significant securities that have to be provided by the developer so that the City of Claremore and the Grand River Dam Authority, which is a state agency, can never be left holding the bag for anything as well. I'm sorry. The project, this development agreement also lays out the exhibits where the site is, talks about startup, power, water, all of those things.
Is that the same document that references the Community Betterment Fund?
That is the document, yes, sir.
And I don't know how much this relates, but one of the things that's impressed me during this process is at points in times where the developer has had the opportunity to save money, instead of taking those as additional profits, they've chosen to reinvest that into this agreement for the betterment of the city, which speaks a lot to the trust with that developer.
I think that is what I want everybody to know, is that there is no wiggle room weasel out of these documents, these contracts, these obligations.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and second. Any more discussion? Call the roll.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Cotto?
No.
Michael?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Bowlby?
No.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
No. Item number passes, correct?
Recall petitions are outside.
Item number 9, discussion and possible action on ordinance number 2026-12 relating to electric service amending section 50. I'm sorry, my eyes are so dry I can't read. As printed. Sorry. I would read it all, but I can't. Sorry.
So, yeah, so for clarity, it is the rate schedule found in the Code of Ordinances, and this would add, so we have historically had residential rate, we have small commercial and large commercial or industrial. This adds a fourth rate, which would be called GSM, General Services for a mega load. This would allow for the establishment of anybody that comes in and wanted to use more than 25 megawatts a month. They would have to go, this would allow us to sit down and develop a retail electric service agreement specific to their usage, their demands. And for clarity, also in this, if you'll notice on the ordinance, we define, which matches all of our other definitions, and the fourth component of this is that the GSM customer are to incur all costs associated with providing electric service to the site. So we have codified and made it a law that this and any future potential large load user, which frankly is just almost impossible to ever fathom, would be responsible for those costs.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Feldman?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cotto?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Bowlby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Call the roll.
Brian?
You guys can stay. We have payables to do still, so. Oh, go ahead and call the roll. Normally I don't
Callender?
Yes.
have discussion.
Feldman?
Yes.
Cotto?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Bowlby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes. Call to order the Claremore Cultural Development Authority meeting. Note the roll. Do we have a motion to accept the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? You heading out? Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Brent, can you make sure some deeds
Yeah.
are out okay?
Lock her
Thank
out.
you.
Motion was made in second. Any discussion? Call the roll. Sorry.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Otto? Feldman?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Any items unforeseen?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin? Yes. Long?
Yes. Seems like I've done that before. Any items unforeseen?
No.
Thank you. Current business, do we have a motion to accept the consent items as printed?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Who was the second on that? Thank you. Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin? Yes. Long?
Yes. Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We still have one.
We have still one more.
Okay.
Motion made and second to adjourn. Call the roll.
Who was the second on that one?
Josh was second. Brian.
Michael?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes. Call to order the Claremore Public Works Authority meeting. Note the roll. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Feldman?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes. Any items unforeseen?
No.
Do we have a motion to accept the consent items?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Michael?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes. Item number 2, discussion and possible action on the Claremore Retail Electric Service Agreement with Mustang Power LLC. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council and public. This is what they call the Retail Electric Service Agreement. This is the agreement that we will enter into, which is a requirement also of Mr. Bowles' bill that we kind of were forecasted out. But this is essentially the service agreement we will have with the project. So it spells out all of those things that we talked about as far as security, capital deposits, letter of credit, allows us to establish a tariff for what we call firm power, which you will see there's an additional tariff, one for firm power and one for supplemental supply. Those are also called out in House Bill 2992 that goes into effect. So essentially, this is the document that allows us to enter into an agreement to serve, and it gives some ramp up times, as well as specifically on the RISA. There's a schedule and exhibit on it where again it solidifies and mandates that the developer will pay all costs associated with electric infrastructure. So that's what that document is.
And the next 2 items are the ones on the tariffs, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any discussion or motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Feldman?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes. Item number 3, discussion and possible action on the Claremore Electric Tariff Rate Schedule, RXL Extra Large Load.
Yes.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you. This would be applied to what we call the firm power. The firm power is power that is already in the portfolio of GRDA up to approximately 250 megawatts and applied to that. So there's a requirement, and it's just better for bookkeeping on both GRDA, the city side, and a future state law that a special or a specific tariff for this be established. And I should have noted with the RISA and the tariffs, as well as those considerations, were all done in consultation with somebody who specifically designs rates and helps us design tariffs. She's out of Florida, and her brain works like nobody's business. And at every step of the way, if you talk to GRDA, she had our best interest at heart. And I think that the Beal team will there was a lot of heartache and some tough conversations. But so this is for the firm power that GRDA provides.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve in second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on the Claremore Electric Tariff Rate Schedule SSXL. That just reminds me of shirt sizes.
Yeah.
Small, small, extra large. Supplemental supply, extra large load, Mr. Manager.
So the supplemental supply is power that the developer or end user will have to go out into the marketplace and acquire in the commodities market. That would still go through the GRDA system, SPP transmission, and through the substation, subsequently our meter. So there's power that's provided by GRDA, and then there's power that will be acquired in the market. All of which, though, again, required by the development agreement, the RESA, and the tariffs, has to come through our meters. They cannot do on-site generation. So this is a tariff for that portion of the power.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Michael?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on Exhibit H, large load agreement with Grand River Dam Authority. Mr. Manager.
So as part of our power purchase sale agreement, there are multiple exhibits. We've never had this one, but there's always inserted a blank Exhibit H for wholesale or municipal customers that might have a large load. And now that we do have a large load power consumer, it is required that that agreement be on file and placed in our existing PPSA with GRDA as Exhibit H.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Michael?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Colby? McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Call the roll.
Michael?
Yes.
Feldman?
Yes.
Callender?
Yes.
Breckerhoff?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
McSpadden?
Yes.
Irwin?
Yes.
Long?
Yes. We're adjourned.